The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited.
Shalom, shalom. Come on in. Come on in. Hand on your heel.
Yo, I've been living at the bottom with my hand on your heel. When I walk strong enough to put my hand on your ear. And nobody knows me better than my nostrils. So when I say something, boy, best believe I prosper. Hurry, I go ball, came and caught him off a girl while you was drunk off of alcohol.
Come on in.
That money tree scared cause he saw me with a saw. Standing tall, time to cut you down. Sorry, I'm in charge. You messing with the line rat. This ain't no scared cat. Trying to catch me unexpected, baby. I'm expecting that. Bet you that you don't wanna come down to my level. I'ma humble you. One you gon' walk around with a shovel. You don't regard the floor, probably why they
Shalom, shalom. Come on.
Scraps probably wanna crack around the earth for a work. You would think that this fool's fine. Now you're traveling the space to go and still a moonshine, but I'ma bring you down.
Shining for a while, living above the clouds. But I'ma break it down, ain't gon' stop you on the ground. With a lot of pride, trying to live in the sky.
Come on in. Hit the like button. Come on.
Rich folks got me walking like a madman. Never really wanna see your brother stand up. I'm posted up like a lampstand. I bring them down like a champ, man. By they pride, I see in they eyes that I'm the last man. I bring them down like the two twin towers. Run up on me, introduce you to my two twin powers. Walking through the valley of the shadow of death. Worse than enemies, my enemies, so I be mad at myself. Y'all made me this way. Today is this day. That nobody gon' stop me, y'all disable this fate. The queen of Babylon don't wanna play with this. A King Kong ready for war, you ain't gon' make any escape. Equip banana clip lasers, haters, but just wait. I get revenge at the end, so you making a mistake. Strap tails, prepare.
Come on in. Hit the like button, folks.
Anybody
Come on.
that wanna step in my way, cuz.
Shining for a while, living above the clouds. But I'ma bring it down, ain't gon' stop till you on the ground. With a lot of
They've been ruling with a lot of pride.
in the sky. But I'ma bring it down, ain't gon' stop till you on the ground.
And you don't want to miss it.
That's right, brothers and sisters. They've been ruling with a lot of pride. That's right. Warning to the stars. Warning to the stars. REI, he did a good job. The brothers who cut that song. There's a warning to the stars. Okay. There's I would say, an image control problem that we're going to talk about tonight. The stars dictates culture. The stars and the elite in our society dictates image. And that's really a bad thing for us. This is going to be one of the more serious dialogues, or I would say podcasts we've had thus far, to understand the power of image on its on its lowest level. I think we've been sleeping on how others have been controlling our image, and you know what? It's time to say something about it. Above all, it's time to do something about it. That's right. Who controls our image is the topic today, and I laid it all out. I apologize for coming on late, but I just wanted to make sure that I had everything laid out, clips, articles, and everything that we would need to actually dive into this. Even white papers, okay? So that brothers and sisters can understand the power of our image and taking our true image back as God's people. All right? It's more than just being an Israelite, but what comes with being an Israelite? An image. An image. And there's some people working around the clock to tarnish our image, or at best, seeking to promote the most substandard spirit or culture that exists amongst our people, as if any race of people are a monolith. Okay? I can point to any people in the earth right now, any race of people, and pull out a subculture. I can pull out a part of their society and history that they would be ashamed of, and on top of that, they would fight tirelessly to stop me from promoting them in that light, even though those subcultures of their society exist. I mean, have you ever been to India? The whole thought of a thug and all these other things, that's not even a concept that was actually a part of our culture. That was a culture that was adopted out of India, folks. But yet, they're not promoted in the Western world as thugs. We are. China goes through great lengths to make sure that the subculture or the low culture that makes them look bad internationally is suppressed. And they make sure within their negotiations with other countries under propaganda that China is promoted at all times in a positive light, understanding what? The implications of the opposite. Because perception, brothers and sisters, is everything. And how someone treats you is based on the perception that's portrayed. So, are we in control of our image? Are we all they show on BET or through rap videos? It seems like there's two sets of rules here, a double standard. Could I go dive into the darkest sub-evil culture of every society, be it Asia, East India, or even white people, and promote that as a monolith for their particular people without any pushback? So why are we allowing it? I'm not excusing the bad behavior that's within our community. Of course not. This is why Christ said, repent. Everyone has an opportunity to change their lives. But why is it that we're always typecast into a negative light for the world to see, without us understanding the grave implications for that? Well, I'm going to talk about that and more tonight. I've laid out the whole thing. That really concludes my monologue, to tell you the truth. It's time to dive in. Okay? We're under a shadow ban. Hit the like button, please. Hit the like button so that now others could actually come through and realize the Gathering of Christ Church, the elders of the Gathering of Christ Church, is live broadcasting. Hit the like button for us, okay, as you come in, and make sure you like and share this particular broadcast. I believe this thing is going to reverberate throughout the whole earth, to have our people take a pause and other people take a pause and think for a second. Brothers and sisters, when I traveled overseas, it was deep within itself, because many many of other races cleaved to us when we went overseas. They cleaved to us because why? At first, there's a standoffish spirit when someone comes from America being black based on the negative stereotypes. But when they realize there is amongst our people articulate, intelligent people that have high level business acumen and intelligence, folks, it blows the other nations away and it makes them cleave to us even more because you know why? They see that the perceptions that were placed on us were erroneous. They cleave to us and they seek to do business with us. But at first, there's a standoffish spirit based on how we're perceived overseas. Is he a thug? Should I have to watch my pockets? But then you open your mouth and begin to conversate. And then you learn some of their language and begin to communicate. And then they'll understand and say, you know what? Maybe these people are getting typecast. Maybe they're getting demonized and guess what? The Middle Easterns understand it. Because look at how all Middle Easterns were viewed as terrorists by Americans after September 11, 2001. You can have a regular Arab working at a gas station and all of a sudden he's under some type of threat based on the perception that's being played over and over and over and over again through the media. So even the Arabs had to push back on that propaganda because the everyday hardworking man and woman from their race was being deemed typecast as terrorist. Very, very dangerous the media is. And we have to understand the power of the image. We shouldn't give them the fuel to use something negative against us. But still, even if there is negative amongst our people, should they be allowed to portray that image and plaster that around the world without any pushback? Understands demonization comes before destruction. So we're going to talk tonight. Let me bring Elder Lawyer in real quick. Elder Lawyer in the house. Elder Lawyer.
Shalom.
Shalom, Elder Lawyer. Our broadcast tonight, who controls our image? And I want to talk about that. I'm going to show people the power of imagery. So that we can, as a people, choose a line. And understand, folks, there's a battle. There's a proxy war going on. War isn't fought just on the bloody war fields. Okay? There's psychological warfare, biological warfare. Are we being psyoped, Elder Lawyer? And I'm saying that because look, and I don't want to put the cart before the horse, because we're going to talk about the color purple and others. We're going to talk about that tonight. Who controls our image? Now, before I go there, Elder Lawyer, we just went into a lesson, finding Esau, or who is Esau, last week, week 4. I'm getting rave comments and compliments on us sitting down with those precepts, identifying Esau, how they went into Europe, how they took over. The bloodline of so-called royalty from the so-called Europeans are actually Edomites. Okay? Not all, but those who keep their bloodlines, quote unquote, pure amongst themselves, even if they have to commit incest, are from those families we broke down. Genesis 36 really is the foundation to really find Esau today for those who research that. They're not Arabs. They're the so-called Europeans. I can actually break down and show you when the so-called white man, because he's not white, went into Europe for the first time after escaping Egypt. They were coming against us, Zepho. And he tried to do what? He tried to, Elder Lawyer, he tried to get with Angius and get with other kings to align themselves against us, even back then, while our people, while the 12 tribes were in Egypt, they were conspiring against us. Zepho, he went into Kittim, which is Cyprus, different parts of islands. He's actually revered today as the god Janus. And then he set a temple or a palace to Satan in Italy. In Italy. And that's the Vatican today. That's Satan's throne. Okay? Don't be deceived. Even Satan himself appears as an angel of light. They co-opted our teachings. After the fall of 70 AD, they sat on Peter's seat, knowing that really what they were looking to do is to destroy the truth of Peter and bring forth what? Satan's agenda against God's people on earth. Who is Edom? We went into it, folks. The history, all of that, right? Even the name, how Yahweh is attached to Zeus and all of that. So if you're interested, go to historytimes.org. If you want that history, archaeology, and teaching, we'll make sure you get all 4 weeks and bring you in for week 5, okay? We have 2 full months to go. Guess what? This academy is really, it's at the height. It's at a higher level than any other academies we've ever dealt with thus far. Breaking down what? History and archaeology. And Elder Lawyer, you said you had some charts you're going to share for the people. I wanted to talk about that before I go into this broadcast. Can you give brothers and sisters an insight to the charts they'll be receiving?
Absolutely. Definitely, we want to try to make sure that with every week that goes by, we have archaeological information to coincide with some of the lessons that we've covered. So we got charts with archaeological information going back to the time of the patriarchs. We're going to have one for Edom, which is what we did this past week. For this coming week, I'm actually working on now for week 5. And let me just confirm, we're doing the split of the kingship, correct?
Yeah, the split between Israel and Judah.
So this week we're going to have a chart with the various kings of Israel and Judah, the history of the kingship, but then also archaeological information to go along with, or that coincides with the time of the kings.
Yeah.
Proving the existence of King David, for example, and other records that have been discovered through time that coincide with the time of Israel's kingship.
Well, we're going to do that. We're going into the kings of Israel this coming week and the split between Israel and Judah and how that links directly into why Christ had to come, right? All in all, it's all about him sitting on the throne at the end of this with his people judging the earth under his kingship. So we're going to go into the history of the kings, showing you that that's Christ's seat that he would eventually sit on right here on earth, and our people reestablished on earth according to God, according to the gospel. We're going to talk about that and more in the academy. Thank you, Elder Lawyer. Elder Lawyer, let's go into it. Who controls our image? Now, before I go into it, let's go into image in of itself, right? Let's go in Genesis and let's deal with the image of God, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's go to Genesis when he made man in his image.
Yes, sir. It's the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse number 26.
1 and 26. So let's go here. Genesis 1, verse 26. And what we'll do here, 1 second. Let's put it up on the screen so that they can all see it. Right? Hold on, Elder Lawyer. Let me do it like this. Hold on. If you will. 1 second. Yeah, it's better. All right, Elder Lawyer, 1 second. Let me just put the logo correct here. I didn't get a chance to fix this layer. All right, let's go to Genesis 1 and 26, Elder Lawyer, if you will.
Yes, sir. The book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse number 26.
Yes.
And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God made man in his own image, and the image of God created he him, male and female created he them.
So he made man in his image. Man was meant to rule over the earth in righteousness. The whole earth would benefit from this man. This man who is made in the image of God. Right? Now, when it says male and female made he them, that was because of the Godhead. It's the Godhead. It's the first family. Okay? So if he's going to make man in his image, he must have a helpmeet for the man to bring forth God's will on earth as the Holy Spirit operates within what? You got it. The Godhead family. Right? Now, one thing, Elder, about the image is that the image starts with order. Right? Power starts from what? The top down. The top down. Father, Holy Spirit, Son, family. Family is the power and image of God. From the top down. Now let's talk about this. The image of God, male and female. Well, it comes with what? It comes with rules. After mankind fell, even during the flood, mankind fell, and the Most High kept the righteous bloodline, Elder Lawyer, through Enoch, Methuselah, Noah. Later on down through Noah, you would have Shem, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, the 12 tribes of Israel. And then the Most High gave the 12 tribes a law, which would be what? How to govern according to the image of God. Not just male, but females also as helpmeet for the men who are in dominion. Folks, that's the righteous image of God. Image is everything. Well, Satan, Elder Lawyer, also has an image. It's called the image of the beast. And this is why it's so important for us to do what? To govern our own image. Are we going to seek to our enemies to portray us in a positive light when they are operating under the image of a beast? So as control, what they'll do is they'll find the negative within a nation they hate and portray that as the norm. They'll portray that as the norm, but with the image comes responsibility. Like, for instance, you can't say what you want to say online against Asian people without being deemed, what's this word they use, xenophobic?
Right.
You can't say nothing outright, even if you may believe it's your perception or true, outright against Jewish people without being deemed hater or whatever the case is. You don't have the right to do that because they all understand the power of perception and image. It's not about right or wrong, right? It's not about whether or not it's right or fair. So we can say, well, that's wrong that they can do it and we can't. Folks, it's not about right or wrong. It's who have power. At the end of the day, we have to look at how they protect their image, even the negative that's within their own people, and understand that we have a responsibility to do the same. To say, nah, if you don't come from where I come from, if you're not my people, you don't have a hand in going into past history to bring a what? A current perception of how it was back then when your people were enslaving us back then. You can't have a hand in giving us the history concerning slavery, even if you think your perception or your view of history is correct. Unless you was born in the skin I'm in, you cannot get on TV. You cannot make a movie. You can't say nothing concerning what our people went through, because you're going to shape us according to your view and perception. You're going to shape us in the image of the beast. And it's time our people begin to understand the power of image. And that by soiling it or hurting our image, folks, you may think it's just fun, you're just having fun, it's just for the time. Folks, when we do something wrong, guess what? We can't live it down like other people. It's that stain stays in forever, and the enemy who's over the image perception with this, which is media, make sure that stain stay there forever. We're not like other people. Understand that. They have people in position, gatekeepers, that if we accomplish anything, it'll start with, oh yeah, I'm so glad he overcame the robbery or the shooting that he was involved in 3 years ago, or the grape or whatever he did on the most important day of a man or woman's life, who overcame their circumstances. They'll be quick to remind you on draft day and any other day the stain that will follow you to the grave. So we're going to talk about this today, Elder Lawyer. We're going to discuss the image. God made an image. Let's go to Romans 1 and 26 real quick. Romans 1 verse 26. And you have to wonder why, folks. All the high intellectuals. Folks, let me tell you, the Western world, America would not have achieved this greatness if it wasn't for us from its foundation, the tribe of Judah, building America with our ingenuity. Do y'all know Benjamin Banneker designed Washington, D.C.? Traffic lights. We were using electric in Africa before we came here, only for some Satanist to come out and claim he did it through what? A kite string and a key? But they just want to portray at that same time of history, the what? The subculture, the subservient slave under the master is how we're typecast in history. And we're taking that back now. Because if you're going to just typecast us as slaves, we're going to say, okay, Deuteronomy 28. Since you want to just typecast us as low, enslaved, and cursed, well, Deuteronomy 28 say that these are a people who will one day rise, who are living under a curse. So if you want to go slaves, we can go that way. But then then there's an identity crisis going on. Because some people are claiming one thing, but yet other people who went through chattel slavery fit the curses of the Bible. And the identity crisis isn't on our side. So we're going to talk about image tonight. Let's go to Romans, Elder Lawyer, real quick.
Yes, sir. Romans 1 and 20.
I'm going to pull it up here. We're going to talk about image real quick. 1 second. Romans 1, and let's start at the 20th verse. Yes, the image.
Yes, sir. Romans 1, verse number 20. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even its eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse.
For the invisible things of him from creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made. What did the Most High make? Male and female made he them, and said, be fruitful and multiply. Well, it's evident God is real because everything he made was made out of that image that which started the heavens. Male, female. Not intertwined into one. Okay. A male in his role to actually have dominion and rule righteously, and the female spirit which complements that as a helpmeet. Well, folks, that's how the heavens were made. You can't have two domineering spirits bucking up against one another. You got to have the masculine and the feminine that works what? In harmony. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that what, Elder Lawyer?
So that they are without excuse.
They are the people here on earth. You don't have no excuse to try to reinvent creation. Creation was made out of masculine and feminine. You can't remix that. So now you cannot do man, man, woman, and woman and say, well, the way God made everything was wrong. You can't say that I'm going to find some science to actually circumvent the actual creation process. You can't go into outliers and say, well, okay, well, I know one animal that deals with the same species. So that people are without excuse. Read.
Verse number 21. Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened.
And their foolish hearts began to darken. Let me tell you, that's what happens when you do what? When you move God out of the equation. Mm-hmm. You begin to question everything. You don't know what's right or wrong anymore. Right? That's what happens. And people become dark. When we begin to move God out of the equation. And then you'll go to school, get educated to do what? You get educated to actually put a degree behind the foolishness. Straight up. You get educated and now you're justified in the foolishness. Oh yeah, the earth came from a big bang 35 billion years ago. And guess what? Did you pay to go to school to learn that? Prove that. (23rd verse). And
Yes,
change.
sir. 23. And change the glory of the uncorruptible God, and to an image made like to corruptible man, and to birds, and four-footed beasts, and creeping things.
Read.
Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through their own lust, or through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves.
Own body between themselves. Because people are ignorant to how life came into existence. Guess what? The Most High said, if you want to pull me out of the equation, I'm going to let y'all roll with it then. I'm going to let you justify your own destruction, your own demise. And they began to dishonor their own bodies between themselves. That means what? The Most High made a pristine image of man and woman. And he says, you know what? If you don't want me in the mix, you're going to walk around with a dishonored vessel. You're going to walk around without honor, not realizing that what you have is a gift from God, the temple of the Almighty. An opportunity to live is a gift. Is a gift from God. And you will walk around in dishonor in the temple God gave you. By doing what? Dishonoring their own bodies between themselves now. Disrespecting how all life came into existence. Including how they came into existence. Dishonoring their own father and mother. Without that father and mother coming together as God intended from the beginning, you wouldn't even be here. But how do we dishonor? By going in the reverse to how all things came to be. Operating under the image of a beast. Without honor, without law. When the Most High gave Moses the law, folks, that's right, folks. He gave us the law, statutes, and commandments so that our image would be above all others. All others. A matter of fact, a reprobate mind is less than a beast. Because even the animals know better. Even the animals know how to continue their species. 25. Read it.
25. Who changed the truth of God into a lie and worshiped and served the creature more than the creator.
Come on.
Who is blessed forever. Amen.
Read 26. Now, this is where we are in the earth today. We're at the very end of this. Why? Read 26.
26. For this cause God gave them up unto vile affections, for even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature.
Look at that. Even the women did change the natural use is why God made her into that which is against nature. Folks, this is the New Testament right here. 27.
27. And likewise, also the men leaving the natural use of the women.
The men leaving the natural use of the woman.
Burned in their lusts one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error, which was meet.
At the end, it tells us the judgment on all of this. And when we look at all these programs, Elder Lawyer, that you see today, the hip hop, even though I don't see none of that junk, but you hear about it, love and hip hop, Atlanta wives, this wives, wives over here and wives over there. It perpetuates the image of the beast. Because through all that, what happens? It begins to seep into society. And then Paul began to speak of it. These people get educated. They become calculated gatekeepers over industry. Not only over industry, over corporations. And then they begin to do what? You got it. Shape the perception of image for people. Through their views, through their skewed views, and vitriol against God and those who would follow him. They'll do everything to get in position to program the majority of the earth, all the earth, contrary to the image of God. Fashion, whether it be the identifying what family is, you name it, they'll get in position to shape legislation strictly against God's image. And eventually what happens? It tell you, being filled with unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whispers. It all starts from that reprobate mind. And these are the people running things, shaping images all over the earth. The juicy stuff, people like to see these dirty shows through. Love and hip hop. It's the degradation of it in the others. The degradation. Girls jumping over chairs, hitting one another, operating without any decorum. Men operating without boundary. Backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents. So they set a system, Elder Lawyer, where they can circumvent the parents and go straight to programming the children. Without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful. 32, Elder Lawyer, knowing the judgment of God.
Who, knowing the judgment of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death.
That's why it says walking without honor. And a lot of those who have turned over to the dark side, folks, they walk in the spirit of fear and darkness all the time. See, when the camera's on, they can fake it, but they feel the darkness continually. This is why the majority of them end up self-deleting. The darkness follow them. They know that they're actually, folks, cultivating a world that will soon implode on itself. And they are the gatekeepers who are pushing this progressive satanic agendas, destroying the image of God in the earth. They know it. They know it. And they're doing it intentionally. And when that conscience starts to battle with them, the destruction they've caused in the earth, and then they begin to grow a conscience understanding the wreckage, a lot of them cannot even live with themselves afterwards. Who, knowing the judgment of God, that they who commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same. So it's not just them are doing it, folks. It's something else going on. Read.
But have pleasure in them that do them.
That's a whole nother level of wickedness. People who take pleasure in degradation, who take pleasure in seeing the downfall of humanity. A judgment is coming. So I'm going into image today, Elder Lawyer. Who controls our image? The image of God is righteousness. Let's go through the fruits of the Spirit real quick and show us the image media should be portraying amongst our people. But like I said, Elder Lawyer, when you go overseas and begin to communicate and grow relationships with others, you must first break the perceptions they have on us. Because in their mind, everyone is what? Initially, everyone is a dope dealer. Everyone is a thug. All the women are perceived. When you go overseas, they're thinking of what? They're thinking of Rihanna in the videos that are portrayed over there with her behind out, and how Beyonce, grown woman with her behind out. And it's hard for our people initially to break the perceptions until these people begin to conversate with us. And believe it or not, after that, there's a newfound respect they have for us, because based on how we're perceived outside of the country, they didn't even know that there were people, righteous black men and women in America who existed. And it's a shame. Perception is everything. But when they begin to interact with us, guess what? It's a newfound respect for us, because they understand that we're being demonized in this country just like they were demonized during what? Desert Storm. During the time when America was shaping the perception to go to war with the Middle East, every Arab was being deemed or being portrayed on TV as a terrorist. So this is why other races of people have a newfound respect for us when they realize, well, okay, whoever's controlling the media are demonizing those people. Let's go into hit the like button, because I'm gonna show where I'm going is real nice, folks. I need y'all help. Elder Lawyer, let's get Peter's 1:1.
All right, 1 Peter 1 verse 1.
Hold on. 2 Peter's, I think it is. Hold on.
All right, 2 Peter 1:1.
Yeah, let's go there. Hold on. Because this has some of the fruits of the Spirit, right? Let's go there. The Bible. This is Peter. Now, if the papacy, if they were sitting on, if the Roman Catholic Church were actually sitting on Peter's seat, this is the virtue that would get promoted throughout the earth through Christians or through the Catholic Church. The proper image. Or are they really pushing the image of the beast? Elder Lawyer, let's read 2 Peter's 1. Let's start at the first verse. Simon Peter.
Yes, sir. 2 Peter 1, verse 1. Simon Peter, a servant and an apostle of Jesus Christ, to them that have obtained the precious faith with us through the righteousness of God and our Savior Jesus Christ. Verse 2. Grace and peace be multiplied unto you through the knowledge of God and of Yeshua our Lord.
Read.
According to his divine power, have given unto us all things that pertain unto life and godliness, through the knowledge of him that called us to the glory and virtue. Verse 4. Whereby are given unto us exceeding great and precious promises, that by these ye might be partakers of the divine nature.
Of the divine nature. Folks, that's image right there. Read.
Having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust.
Come on.
And beside this, giving all diligence to add to your faith virtue.
So on top of just believing in Christ, because many Christians claim we believe in Christ, but to add to our faith in him, virtue. Okay? That's an image, that's an asset for people. Virtue, read.
And to virtue, knowledge.
Knowledge.
And to knowledge, temperance.
And to knowledge, temperance. You know how they seem to always have a camera there to show when our people are out of order? As if no other people break bad or have attitudes.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And this not to make no excuse for those who are temperamental. But you think only our people or sisters are running around with attitudes?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not being portrayed in the media. It's not being portrayed. When the Bible talks about the nature of a woman, folks, it isn't just isolated on black women. Okay? There's many stories when you read some of the Asian poetry and all that, how Asians and all that, especially their women, were especially folks, educated in the art of poisons. Okay, but you'll never hear that in our society because, sometimes you have to be what? You have to be cultured and read other people's history and all that. But them women, let me tell you, them women were off men and all that when you read an ancient history of Asians and all that. But yet every negative stereotype on the earth falls on the black man and the black woman at the end of the day, and it's because others are in charge of our image. And we allow it. And then, if the image is out there long enough, what happens? We began to perpetuate the stereotype. And this is why the other nations don't allow other people to portray their image anywhere in the world outside of their propagandized machine that's connected to their government. We're the only people that allow the nations to promote us all around the earth as less than. I'm going to show you how that in of itself has become a dangerous scenario for us. And to knowledge, temperance, read.
Right. Before I move on, I just want to say this one quick point. If you think it's only our people that they want to promote as having attitudes, when you get the opportunity, many of you have done this. Many of you have lived this. Go into your neighborhood Chinese restaurant and see if you get a peaceful disposition. Go into one of those hair shops or one of those hair stores that are owned by an Asian, whether it be Chinese, whatever the case may be, and see if you get a peaceful disposition. Or are you going to get somebody running behind you saying, hurry up and buy, treating you with total disrespect to show you that we attitudes are not exclusive to our people. They also carry negative attitudes.
Yeah. But we are the only people, Elder Lawyer, who allow others to shape our image and how we're viewed throughout the earth. We're the only people who allows this. And I'm not making an excuse for the negative behavior, because why? If we weren't negative, there wouldn't be nothing for them to promote against us. But all in all, there's negative amongst every other races of people, but they make sure their image, their international image, is a positive one before the world, regardless of the negative they have within their own homes that they see every day amongst their own people. They make sure that they have a pristine international image. And they make sure if someone else try to come in and shine a light on their darkness, that thing is extinguished immediately. They'll tell you in a minute, you have no right to speak on the history of my people. They'll tell you outright. That's like me trying to, seeking to say, yeah, let me make a movie about the Irish mafia in Ireland and give my black perspective on it.
Right.
They'll look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, yeah, I'm about to do an Irish mafia movie. I'm going to produce it. What do you think? They look at me like, are you crazy? Well, how can you make a movie shaping my history then? And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. See, I like to bring conversational ideas that usually Elder Lawyer, it's elementary when you look at it. But most people haven't even thought on this level of how powerful propaganda is, how powerful image is, and how it's upon us to protect it. And I'm going to tell you, even those who did wrong when I was coming up, drug dealers and did all that, even women who were dealing in the clubs and all that, and was stripping and all that, they even had the moral high ground to understand what they were doing was wrong, to show others not to go down that path, understanding the value of image. I know drug dealers and all that would say, well, listen, this is what I'm doing, but that brother's going someplace or that sister going someplace, hands off, because these are the people who are going to leave here and make us look good. Right. These are the people who's going to escape our area because, listen, we made a choice. But our image is everything. And guess what? Even the low of our people would protect those who are going someplace for the sake of their image. Because they know that when their children grow up, they're going to need someone to look to outside of what their father and mother did to do what? To clean up the image, to change the perception of that family's name. But no one talks about that. See, I grew up in North Philadelphia, drug dealers, gangbangers, and all that. And let me tell you, there was still a moral sound scenario there concerning image. They knew, okay, this was my choice, but y'all not going to mess with people who's going to go out there and make us look good. We're going to protect them here in the soil, on the ground, and we're going to make sure when they get out there, they give our people a good name. And other nations have this too, folks. I mean, guess what, folks? Just imagine if I was a producer, Elder Lawyer, and you was a producer, and I go use Jeffrey Dahmer, Jack the Ripper, everything negative that came from their people, and now all of my productions are based on that. A black man portraying them like that continually over and over and over and over again. You think they would allow that? You think they would allow that? For me to take the base of their people and continually put money behind and to produce what they are ashamed of? And if that's the case, why won't, you know, if there's going to be a Jeffrey Dahmer movie, they're going to make a they're going to spin that. They're going to make a movie on that. You know why? Because through their movies, they're going to show what? A human side to how he got there. They'll make it where, to some degree, even though he did all this evil, there's a victim there. See? They'll always clean it up to a degree to have us understand why this guy became a nut job. Mm-hmm. Why? Because they understand the power of image. And even the worst of them, if anyone going to make a movie about them, they'll do it. So I have some examples, Elder Lawyer, real quick.
Yes, sir.
And to knowledge, temperance, and to temperance, patience, and to patience, godliness, and to godliness, brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness, charity. Folks, all of this is within our people. Every day. If anyone wanted to find out whether or not there's temperance, patience, good amongst our people, if they were looking for it, they could find it. They would find it. It's amongst our people. Mm-hmm. But the media won't let that image be portrayed. Why? Because if you cannot demonize a people, you cannot destroy a people. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about the fruits of the Spirit. There's some good people amongst us. But all they want to portray is the wicked, evil, the subculture. How did this happen, Elder Lawyer? Well, let me show you how it happened. I have a few things I'm going to go over here. Elder Lawyer, they're remixing Color Purple. Now, why is this so deep, Elder Lawyer? You know I had to lay it out. Oprah Winfrey says she...
I'm sorry, Elder. I hate to cut you as you're going into this, but this scripture you just brought out, it just clicked the point you were making. The fact that everything we just read, even though we're not perfect, there's elements of this that exist amongst our people. Like there's brotherly kindness that exists amongst our people.
Yeah.
There's charitable people that exist amongst us. There's knowledgeable people that exist amongst us.
Yeah.
There are diligent people that exist amongst us. The question is, as you said, why isn't there a camera on these elements of our people?
Exactly. Obviously, who's ever behind portraying us has a motive. What are their motive? If they're going to cherry pick all that's negative and incentivize that before the world as if it isn't harming us.
Right.
And then we look at the statistics. Right? This is what they wanted, where only 1 of 4 of our own sisters will ever get to marry. If they marry. If they marry, the 25%, 80% of them will get a divorce.
Right.
Why? Folks, I submit that it's the programming. I submit it's the propaganda. Was this their plan the whole time? To have us operate outside of our role so that we can hate one another? And by default, do what? Choose not to multiply? I submit that. Because with the image of God, male and female, he said, be fruitful and multiply. But that comes with what? That comes with cooperation. That comes with us actually being on code with one another for what? For legacy and name. Elder Lawyer, check out how I'm going to bring this full circle. Because I'm not going to beat down on Oprah right here.
Right.
I'm not here to beat down on Oprah. Because there's something deeper behind Oprah. See, they don't mind us attacking the front.
That's right.
They don't mind us attacking the front. So I'm not even going to beat down on her, because all in all, folks, when I'm looking at this, they have cultivated a circle of victims, of hurt people whom they've put in place. I'm going to show you where I'm going, Elder Lawyer. Oprah wanted to be in The Color Purple more than anything. I've never wanted anything in my life more than I wanted to be in that movie. Color Purple. Folks, this movie in of itself has had a profound, destructive place historically amongst our generation in particular. In 85, folks, you have to realize when these movies were being put out and all that, Color Purple and all that, there wasn't no problem between a black man and a black woman. And they typecast this. They moved this in a time during almost the Reformation after slavery, as if there was some abuse going on between black men and black women, when at this time we were on the same side. They used this movie to rewrite history. There was no time for black men to be beating down on black women and going against black women, because we had other enemies to be concerned about. We had the KKK on one end. We couldn't even cross the rivers. We couldn't even cross the railroad tracks. We were going to church. There was no such thing as an abusive black patriarchy ever in the existence of America. This movie was destructive, because what they found through studies, Elder Lawyer, and I have a few, and I'm going to talk about those a little later, that females in particular are more susceptible to programming. And it doesn't have anything to do with anything outside that the Bible says, give honor to the woman as the weaker vessel. It's hard for a woman to view anything and not put herself in the place of that character. This is why even if there's a discussion between two men that are speaking something negative about a woman will come to her defense. It's not that she excused the woman's behavior, because women always see themselves in the position of other women. As little girls, when they seen Snow White, when they seen the prince come and kiss and wake her up, they put themselves in the place of that princess. Cinderella, being ostracized by her aunts and stepmother, they put themselves in Cinderella's what? Shoes. And Disney found this out a long time ago. Girls are more susceptible to programming, because when they see the programming, they cast themselves in that character. And this is what's so damning about this movie right here. Because women started to believe that coming out of chattel slavery and all that in the South, that there was some abusive black men like Mr. abusing black women. Now, they weren't there to know whether or not it happened. So this became what? Our sister's perception of our people coming out of slavery. Not that there was other people benefiting from our slavery and was railroading us at every turn to stop our progression. They used this movie to move sisters from our side to the side of our oppressors. Let me show you something. I'm not here to beat down on Oprah. Because as far as I'm concerned, she's a victim. Especially in the 80s. During a time of glamour and all these other things. Vanessa Williams being the first black Miss America, and all of these beautiful women highlighted all the time, and she had to always fight against not being chosen like a lot of women who just had privilege. She had to have education and other things to try to leverage herself off. And guess what? The enemies had seen this. We can use her as a victim. Because of what? Because of what she went through and what she's going through as a young lady. This character have nothing to do with that time period they're filming through, folks. She was able to move this character based on her own scenarios that happened coming up in her life. And use her own victimization to transfer that on to the world, to have everyone believe that there was a problem between black men and black women. Elder Lawyer, look at this.
Yes, sir.
Look at this. Danny Glover as Mr. Look at Whoopi Goldberg, victim. Abuse. A sister can't help but put herself in Whoopi's position. But guess what, folks? Mr. right here, that's our position. That's us. So when you put yourself in Whoopi's abusive position, how evil that was, that's an image right there. You can't help but see not just what Whoopi's going through, but now the threat in your own community. Mr. Fair use. And folks, during this time period in history, there was no problem between a black man and a black woman, folks. Let me tell you something. Black men have never been empowered to abuse or hurt black women without what? Without the authority coming in to defend her. And that was since the plantations. We were never in position to harm our women. We were the people in America, black men, from generations coming off the slave ships. We were raised under a matriarchy. Big mama. Daddy is quiet. He don't say much. And mama take care of everything. He go out and work, die early. And big mama is the one who hand down the legacy. They lied through this movie, folks. And Elder Lawyer, I got something that you probably didn't know, Elder Lawyer. I got something today. And then they showed this guy, Harpo. They showed Harpo now. Fair use. Fair use. Check this out, Elder Lawyer. Fair use.
What I'm gonna do about Sophia?
What am I gonna do about Sophia? And what does Whoopi say?
Beat her.
Beat her. Now, here it is. Harpo was a shorter guy. He was cast as a black buffoon. And he said, well, what am I going to do about Sophia? And Whoopi came up after dealing with her Stockholm syndrome and what she's dealing with, thinking that it's justified being whipped by Mr. Her answer was to beat Sophia. Fair use. Beat her. Now, who's coming through the woods? Who's ramaging through the woods?
You told Harpo to beat me.
You told Harpo to beat me, she said. You told Harpo to beat me.
It was that mule, Paul.
Folks, this was what? An Emmy Award winning movie. It was on plays, Broadway, you name it. Check this out. Fair use.
Old Joy, old Joy the mule, I tell you, I was out there trying to plow that Northfield, and the mule, all my life I had. Started kicking and bucking, hitting it right there. Bust my eye, bust my lip. All my life I had to fight.
All my life I had to fight. Now, all the black women are in the place of Oprah now. Believing that all their lives. Now, this is doing what? This triggering their past. So if our sisters grew up with any trauma in the home, or something didn't get right, or something wasn't right growing up, they were able to relate. All my life, I had to fight.
I had to fight. I had to fight my daddy. I had to fight my uncles.
I had to fight my daddies. I had to fight my uncles. She's speaking of all the black men who was protecting black women during this time period, folks. So your daddy can't be trusted. Your uncles can't be trusted. They're demonizing the black men on another level here, folks. Using our people to do it.
I had to fight my brothers.
I had to fight my brothers. The brothers aren't nothing. The fathers aren't nothing. The uncles aren't nothing.
Girl, child ain't safe in the family of men's.
It's not safe, elder lawyer, in the family of men's. You hear this, elder lawyer? I'm quoting it because I know you can't hear it. You can't trust your father. You cannot touch your brother. Black women aren't safe in the families of men's. Elder lawyer.
Yes, sir.
On the screen, Hollywood, 2018. Spielberg bringing Color Purple to big screen exclusive. Let's stop here for a second. Who controls our image? Let's pause real quick. Because I'm not even going to blame Oprah here. Here it is. It was a play. Who knows? Some people says that Quincy Jones is the gatekeeper. I'm not even into that. But they shape an integral part. Elder lawyer, they have shaped an integral part of history when the black man and black woman was on the same side. To make our women in the 80s going forward believe that during that time period, black men were abusing black women. And there was never a scenario that would have allowed such action to take place historically. Steven Spielberg. Now, all due respect, elder lawyer, Steven Spielberg also produced Schindler's List, a 1993 blockbuster award-winning blockbuster, almost, it was portraying some of what happened to Jewish people during the Holocaust.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about some 8 years later. Now, all due respect here, that's their history. Spike Lee, a producer, or anyone else couldn't come in and say, you know what, we want to shape what happened to your people in the eyes of the world. They know they can't do that. And you know what? He should be able, in position, to give his insightful understanding of what happened to his people during that war or during that time period. He have every right to do so, being from that group of people. So I'm not saying anything wrong with it, but what is he doing in our space?
Mm-hmm.
What is he doing in an integral, I'm talking about a serious movie that black men were never able to live down since they put that movie out. That stereotype of an abusive, no good man stood. Now, you can't tell me these people being part of Hollywood didn't know the long-term effects that Color Purple would have on the black man in particular. But Elder Lawyer, it gets real good. It gets real good, Elder Lawyer. Here's a white paper, Elder Lawyer, from 2012. You know, I like going into some of the white papers, because universities has what you would call white papers on a lot of the psychological effects that happens with movies. Movies actually shape perceptions and typecast people in cultural, I would say, through cultural stereotypes. It's through the movies, the perception of the white knight winning at the end of it will always be the image that Hollywood wants to portray. But Elder Lawyer, strictly about us. We all know Alice Walker, right? Because Alice Walker was one of the main people who came up with the particular movie, even though Steven Spielberg was a director, but it was a black woman. And in the white paper, Elder Lawyer, it says 2012, same time Obama was in office, cultivating black lesbian shamelessness. A paper that would make it where black lesbians wouldn't be ashamed of their life choices. Allison Walker's, Elder Lawyer, Color Purple. So it was about casting a negative perception on a black man, using a heterosexual character, but really it came from, as this white paper say, a way of taking shamelessness from lesbians. And by having women who hate their own man, it would only do what, Elder Lawyer? Increase the pool for women who want women. If they don't want men, then at the end of it, there'll be more women for those who don't like men to choose from. 2012. Let's talk about it. Listen, this is white paper, folks, just tore. Cultivating Black Lesbian Shamelessness, Allison Walker's The Color Purple. In the pivotal 1979 essay toward a black feminist criticism, Barbara Smith lamented the lack of black lesbian representation in U.S. literary criticism. She explained that all segments of literary world, whether establishment progressiveness, black, female, or lesbian, do not know, or at least act as if they do not know, that black women writers and black lesbian writers exist. The unprecedented amount of writing or about black lesbians that emerged in the 1970s and 1980s made the question and value of black lesbian writers' existence of fundamental importance of African American history studies in particular. 4 seminal black lesbian texts, Allison Walker's, listen, 4 seminal black lesbian texts, Allison Walker's, elder lawyer, Color Purple. So what was the real ideology behind these movies? Were they seeking to create an image of positivity of the black man? Or did they do an end around using victims in our community to slight us? Without even, and guess what, elder lawyer? When I was coming up during this time, elder lawyer, I just thought this was a movie.
Right.
When there was a plan to shape the perception of women who love other women, and they did it through the movie, indirectly by having a character that didn't exist, a black man who even black men would hate, as the image of vitriol. They did an end around. They use a heterosexual woman as an abused woman for the same outcome that a woman who loves a woman want. They both agree to hate black men who did nothing to them but love them, who went through chattel slavery with them. And then the world started picking, elder lawyer, I was there when this thing started switching around. And then after that, they started pushing not just from the movies, but in the music. They went from the movies. A lot of people don't know, folks, that Spielberg was a director of Color Purple. Y'all didn't know this, did you? Hit that like button, folks. Did y'all know that? Did an end around right in our face. And then on top of this, it wasn't just the movie industry, elder lawyer. They started doing what? They started hiring artists with these record companies. I don't want no scrubs. A scrub is a man who can't get no love from me. They started promoting us as less than, as if we didn't go through chattel slavery and the suffering of captivity, Jim Crow and everything. As if we didn't go to jail dying for civil rights for our own women. They just erased all of that history where we stood behind our black women and just utterly eradicated it. And we just sat back and let them denigrate our image, an image that was great with Malcolm, Martin Luther King. And it wasn't that our image was, of course there's a subculture amongst every community. Folks, there's highly educated intellectuals amongst our people till this day that no one would know because the media do not promote them.
That's right.
Who's in control of our image? Who's giving Cardi B and all these others the limelight, the promotion to denigrate our image? Who's promoting Lizzo to be the image of our women? And why aren't we saying anything? We don't go find the trailer park or just the worst of their people. It's not that they can't be found if we didn't want to find them. We just don't care that much. But they care so much about doing what? Denigrating us. They find these people as mascots and just put them. And guess what? They find people, like it says, who have no shame. Like that white paper says, we're going to take the shamelessness from being that way. Because they know that there's a subculture within our community that people, but every community has people amongst their community that doesn't have shame. Okay, but they'll never tell you. They'll never put a camera on it. They'll never give that a record deal or a movie deal, but they'll do it to us. The image of the beast. Who know that Allison Walker was a part of a movement politically to take the shamelessness away from lesbians? And this is what they wanted to do. They're using color purple to do so. What? Because through color purple, it was more about not man and woman in the image of God coming together, even through trouble. It was about women, what? Bonding as a group against the black man. Elder Lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they've achieved their objective?
Absolutely.
Do you think, Elder Lawyer, that you could look at World War I, World War II, and the plots that happened over there in Germany and come up with your own movie on it?
Is that a joke?
Well, why can't you do that, brother? It's just art. I mean, it's just history. How can they have a hand in shaping our perceptions, but yet you can't do the same? So the question I have out there, who controls our image, folks? And how long are we going to allow them to actually do so? Now, Elder Lawyer, the reason why I wanted to pull this out is because the beginning of taking back our image is identifying that there's a problem. See, I don't have to attack other people and all that. I'm talking about standing for my own people, our image, my own image for my people, and saying, listen, we should tell others you have no place in promoting and to incentivizing through media and otherwise. You have no business in our history, especially when you were back there doing what we know you were doing to us. You have no place, because anytime they put their hand in something, a fight ensues between our people. It begins infighting amongst us. Anything they promote is us fighting one another now. Because guess what? The color purple, Elder Lawyer, could have been written either way. It could have been written about an outlier, which is an abusive situation. And am I to say that there was never abuse? There's abuse throughout time immemorial amongst all races.
Exactly.
But that was an outlier. That wasn't nothing that normally happened within our community. We were Christians. We grew up Christians. So here it is, Elder Lawyer. It's time for us to call it out and say, one step in the right direction is our people calling it out when they do it. Because we have to understand who the enemies are. Oprah Winfrey is a victim. When you hear a story coming up as a little girl, there's no way they should have gave her access to a camera with all that trauma, with all that vitriol and pain that she went through as a child, unresolved. But the enemy seen that as an opportunity to utilize this woman to take down the man that they couldn't face to face. So they would do an end around and use the woman we love to do it. Indirect warfare. And then a lot of women took on these perceptions, these ideas that were created through Hollywood against their own man. And the Elder Lawyer, where are we right now? Now that men are saying, well, you know what? This isn't going to end. Now men are standing up and fighting back. Now the media have their satanic panties in a bunch, talking about a gender war now. Oh, it wasn't a gender war when the fight was one way against black men. They didn't call feminism, funding feminism in our community, funding housing for our women that would take the power from men. They never identified that in anywhere on the media as a gender war. Now they label it gender war. Now that men realize if we don't fight back and stand up, that we'll cease to exist. Now it's a gender war now. No, it's called survival. They were in control of our image, folks. They was in control of our image through media, and they were actually using media to turn our own women against us. And to create a community of women who would deem that they're totally separate or something different than their black men, when that's not how it was in the beginning with the image of God. Male and female made he them. That was the black man and the black woman on code with one another. And Satan sought to divide that. Who controls our image? Anything you have to say, Elder Lawyer, before I open up the lines?
Absolutely. Man, there's so much that came out, man. I'm trying to figure out which way to attack this because there's so much to digest. But going back earlier to some of the things you were bringing out concerning how the other nations, when we went to travel, how the initial imagery of us, of these nations is based upon what they see in their countries on television. Like, for example, when we went to the Middle East, I was shocked to see that they actually had MTV. They had different American music stations, which actually played our music, which played our videos, which I guess gave them the imagery of what they would perceive of us internationally.
Yeah.
Right? And initially it seemed as though like we have to prove that we're otherwise. We're the ones that have to prove that no, we're not what you see on MTV. That's not all of us. That's just television. That's just music videos. It seems like we're the ones that have to do all of the proving to show that we are not what is being shown on television. But as the scriptures say, through travel, you gain much wisdom. The same way that we had to prove that we are not what you see on the television, the reality is that we got to see the truth of who these nations were by traveling to their country. So, for example, when we see in our communities, when we see, for example, using the Middle East as an example, when we see Arabs in our community, we think they must be sheikhs. All of them must be sheikhs somewhere in the Middle East over some type of dynasty or some type of oil rich country. We see them in our communities and we think that they're all imams and that they're all intellectual Islamic scholars. But you get over there and you see the truth that none of what you thought pertaining to these people or dealing with these people over here in the States is not the reality of what's going on in their country. They got criminal elements in their country. They have perverseness in their country. They have all types of elements, all types of things in their country that you would not know unless you actually went to visit these countries and see them for what they are. So that's the first thing I wanted to highlight. Like when we go to these places, it's like we have to feel like the ones like, you know, we have to somehow prove ourselves to these nations or try to prove that we're not what's on the television. But at the same time, they're not what they're promoting over here in the States. When you actually go and see what's going on the ground with some of these people. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that when we talk about who controls the image, there's a puppet master that controls and decides how people are promoted in this country and internationally. I brought out this example a few years ago, when you talk about the Asians and how they were initially portrayed when they came into this country. The Irish, how they were portrayed when they first came, the Italians. All of these nations had a negative stigma upon them when they first came to this country. The difference is that the imagery internationally eventually became changed. They were allowed to come out of the criminal elements because, yes, there were criminal elements amongst the Irish and still are. There were criminal elements amongst the Italians, and there still is. There were criminal elements amongst the Jewish people, and there still is. We don't have a monopoly on any of these things. We don't have a monopoly on murder. We don't have a monopoly on thievery. We don't have a monopoly on what they call ratchetness. We don't have a monopoly on drug dealing, crime, or anything you want to mention. Okay, extortion. We don't have a monopoly on these things. These things exist amongst all nations. And I'm going to show that according to the scriptures. But one thing I wanted to highlight is that at one point, these nations were all promoted with a negative stigma. But through time, America began to change the image of how they promoted these nations, allowing them to come out of the negative stigma, allowing them to now grow and become, prosperous nations amongst themselves. The issue is that we were never allowed to do that. And any chance we got, or anytime we tried to do that, we were always knocked back. Anytime we tried to achieve some level of Black excellence, where we actually were forced to come together and appreciate one another and have brotherly love and have businesses that we patronized amongst each other and were respectful, all of those were eventually destroyed. But it's not like we didn't have those elements where, we tried at least to come together and unite and have some level of camaraderie amongst us as a nation. But the difference is that anytime we try to do so, we were knocked back. And now it's like we're not even in a position where we're able to come together and do as these other nations did and grow out of the negative stigma that was placed upon them. And one nation in particular with the Chinese, you go back into how they were initially promoted. They were promoted as yellow peril. They were promoted as disease-ridden. They were promoted as all types of negative stereotypes. They were promoted real bad. But eventually there came a time in which America decided that they're going to switch the imagery of how they promote the Chinese. And they began to call them what you call model citizens. That's when they started promoting the Chinese as being extra smart and intelligent, being mathematicians and being, what do you call it? Becoming experts in math and things of that nature. But initially,
exactly. As far as in the computer field, they came out as they were being portrayed as geniuses, creating the microchips and things of that nature. Yeah.
Exactly. But that wasn't because all of a sudden out of the blue, they just became math experts and computer whizzes. That didn't just happen out the blue. At some point, America decided to promote them that way to give this image of the model minority, the minority that's able to come to this country and not be like what they would call us, always complaining and always stagnant and not able to progress. They are the model minority. They're the example of a minority that was negatively stigmatized and later were allowed to, or later began to grow and become a great nation, even though they were initially stigmatized. And they did that pretty much to provoke us to jealousy. But the reality is that that's not the truth. The truth is that they chose to give them that image. So the reality is that if they are allowed to place these images and give images or assign images to nations, positive images, why can't positive imagery be assigned to us as well? So the last thing I wanted to bring out.
Good question. Scriptures. I mean, that's a good point, Elder Lawyer, because they've turned the stereotypes of Asians being rice and karate and all that into intellectuals overnight.
Exactly.
The power of imagery. So by the same token, why can't they find the geniuses and the brainiacs who listen, my son just graduated Penn State. There was a bunch of serious high-level intellectuals amongst our people who just graduated, but you'll never see them promote us as intellects.
Exactly. Exactly.
But go on. I'm sorry about that.
No, you're absolutely right, and that's the problem. And I think the trap sometimes we fall into is that we see the negative images and we start to buy into it and say that this is all our people want to be, and we just want to be ratchet and all these things. The reality is this. Let me give an example. And you gave this example a few weeks ago with the music, with the example of R. Kelly, how eventually, at some point, he wanted to just kind of change his tune, and he wanted to do "I Believe I Can Fly," and he wanted to change the tune, not necessarily altogether remove himself from what made him famous, but at the same time show that there's other elements to his music outside of just the gutter the gutter music.
Put it this way: what they're making Ed Sheeran into right now,
right,
is what R. Kelly wanted to do before Ed Sheeran knew how to do music.
Exactly.
That's the shift that R. Kelly wanted to do. He didn't want to stay with the gutter R&B music. He wanted to become worldwide but they pigeonholed him into what? R&B. That they typecast him so that all those world songs could go overseas to England, and they'll be portrayed as those who still want family to come together, love songs, and all these others. So everything, how you see them promoting Ed Sheeran right now, is the shift R. Kelly wanted to make.
Exactly.
And couldn't. But go on.
Exactly. Let me give you another example.
Yeah.
The group H-Town.
Yeah.
They at some point decided that they wanted to not just deal in that gutter, low-level R&B, knocking the boots type music, because they wanted to show that they have other elements to them. And they were pretty much, the way they tell the story, they were pretty much laughed out of the office. Like, listen, your people, they don't want that kind of stuff you guys are talking about. They want the gutter R&B. So the point I'm making is that these artists, I'm pretty sure the Cardi B's and the Lizzos and some of these artists, not that they are going to totally turn into, Barbra Streisand or something like that.
Or Whitney Houston or whatever, yeah.
Exactly. They're not going to totally turn to Whitney Houston because that's just not them. But I would be a fool to believe that at some point they don't go to these people and say, listen, I'm kind of tired of doing the same old thing over and over. You think I can kind of, can I get one positive song? Can I get something out there that gives me a different look? And these people, they get laughed out of the room, out of the office.
Yeah, it's Elder Lawyer. It's can I get out of mascot music?
Exactly.
But the whole thing is, and it's a shame because Lizzo is so talented.
Exactly.
With all of the instruments she can play and how she actually hear music and how she's able to put together songs, they're actually disrespecting her true artistry by using her as a mascot to be laughed at.
Exactly.
And this is what I'm talking about, gatekeeping, not gatekeeping, but standing up for our own image and saying, you shouldn't be able to do that to our sisters. Okay? You shouldn't be able to do that. Suppose we, I mean, Taylor Swift. Look how they promote Taylor Swift.
Exactly.
Look how they promoted all these others. You understand? And look what they do to our sisters. At every opportunity they get, they want to do what? They want to promote a mascot so that the whole world can say, guess what? This is what black people, the tribe of Judah, Benjamin, Levi, this is what they produces. This is what they produce. Even the most talented of them are broken, are mascots. It's a shame. That's how they want to portray. They don't want no pristine image on our people. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes, sir. And to make that, I'm glad you made that point about Taylor Swift, because that leads me to my last point. You don't think that there's any level of violence in the community that she came out of? You don't think there's any level of abuse that exists within the community she came out of? You don't think there's any level of deviancy that exists in the community that she comes out of? But the reality is that they will never make that her existence. Like her whole career, her whole existence won't be the deviancy and the crime and all the things, what's the word I'm looking for? What's that word that describes basically the dysfunction?
The dysfunctional within the community.
Exactly. They would never, her embodiment, Taylor Swift's embodiment will never be the dysfunction that exists even within her community. Because according to the Bible, I'll just quote it. The Bible says that what? In fact, let me just read it very quickly. Genesis 6 and 5, and God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. So you mean to tell me this only exists amongst black people and Latinos and Native American Indians? You mean to tell me that this element only exists amongst us and not amongst other people? The reality is that it does. Okay, this is not just talking about one specific people. This element exists within all people. There's violence amongst all people. There's deviancy amongst all people. There's dysfunction amongst all people. The difference is that our people, when we're promoted, we have to embody the dysfunction. We have to live in that. We can't grow outside of that. We can't elevate outside of that for whatever reason. But I'll leave it there.
Well, other lawyer, before we transition with the phones, I wanted to say this. For those who missed it, let me do a 1 second. Let me show you what we dived into here. How they use color purple, and they remixing color purple again. And I would submit brothers and sisters should stand up and say no more. No more of this divisive typecasting black men in a negative image and women as black women as victims in a time period when we were together. We're more divided now than the time period they're producing concerning color purple. Okay? During the time where we were actually transitioning out of slavery into the South, on and on, or in the early 1900s, or whatever the case might be, or the mid 1900s, so forth. Folks, we were together. This didn't exist like they trying to portray. Mr. This right here, an abused black woman. Black women were always, Big Mama was always revered in our communities. But come to find out that this was actually directed by Steven Spielberg. The same guy who was behind Schindler's List. Schindler's List. So they used Oprah Winfrey and a sister, Allison Walker, to actually portray the black man in a negative image that would divide us in a community from which we need one another. And now our sisters in the community are looking at us sideways based on these movies, believing that every black man is what? An abuser. And then she said that she couldn't trust her father, her uncles, her brothers. Folks, she was talking about us, who never abused anyone, who never did anything wrong. And the majority of us aren't in the typecast of Mr. If anything, if they was going to make a movie during this time period, it should have been on Where's My 40 Acres and a Mule. The movie should have been on black men and black women coming together and getting our reparations. But do you think, Elder Lawyer, that Steven Spielberg would have directed that movie? Because we were together in that time period they showed with Color Purple. You think Spielberg would have went back to that movie and redone it if they said, listen, this is the movie of black man and black woman coming together, getting what we supposed to have from a country we built. Where's our reparations? Do you think he would have backed that one? And here's another thing. Steven Spielberg did what? He did Schindler's List of what his people suffered during the war against Hitler and all that. Black people can't come in and say, well, let me give you my take on this history and let me direct this movie. So how could he stand in the gap and shape our history as a director?
Right. Here's another question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
During the era in which he's depicting in Schindler's List, during the time of the war,
yeah,
was there no violence amongst the Jewish people?
There was
no crime amongst them?
There was.
Was there no abuse in their homes?
Yeah,
the question is, why didn't he add those elements in the movie like he did with The Color Purple?
Yeah. Well, because it's important that he deal with it from his perception. He have the right to do that as a director. Okay, I'm saying he should have the right to shape the image of his people in a good image. He should have that right. And we should have that right, is what I'm saying. He should stay in his business and leave our business alone.
Right.
When it comes to image. So you're right. Of course, there's bad things happening amongst all communities. But what I'm saying is, what is he doing directing something concerning our people, between a black man and a black woman? And then here it is, Oprah. Then things started coming out on Oprah not too long. We heard about a school that she was doing in Africa for black girls. A noble venture, right? But then it comes out in 2007 that there was some controversy where Oprah is shaken by abuses that were happening amongst those same black girls. Allegations started coming out. And then the story of her helping black girls in South Africa went away. We thought, I'm like, all these black women suffering, use colored purple to highlight the suffering you claim happened in America. You couldn't set up a school for black girls here in the United States. So what was that over in South Africa that couldn't happen in America? But then there was somewhat speculation going on concerning the company Oprah kept. Mm-hmm. Same time that she's being used to throw shade or darkness on a black man, she was hanging out with Harvey Weinstein. Not just her, Gayle King too. Mm-hmm. Now she was used in the interview to actually do what? Help destroy R. Kelly. Look at her booed up. Color Purple. So what did this say when you can get into a movie, folks, and say that she always had to fight? She couldn't trust her father, who's a black man, her uncle, who's a black man, her brothers who were black men, but booed up with Harvey Weinstein. What is that saying publicly? That these people are valued as far as image above us, above her own black man. I don't care how much money she has. There's no money, there's no amount of money that can have me betray my own people. That's blood money. Blood money. So I just wanted to highlight that, because the beginning, Elder Lawyer, of taking back our image, which is the image of God, is the first highlight that there's a problem. Mm-hmm. Now, when our brothers and sisters look at that, we have to understand how we've been affected by it and begin to operate in the contrary to our programming. You sent something, Elder Lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me grab that. So, brothers and sisters, are we going to continue to become this stereotype or what they portray, or are we going to fight against this? It's up to us. Because the enemy will continually look to denigrate our image publicly. Because why? You demonize before destroying. Look who else, Elder Lawyer, she was booed up with. You just sent this to me. Thank you, Elder Lawyer. Hold on, let me get it. Look at this. While she denigrating the black man publicly, Oprah's spiritual healer, John of God, receives 99 years sentence for trafficking operation. What's really going on here? Look at this. Now, Elder Lawyer, she tried to make an in around in her past interview, and she's saying the stereotypes of a black man not being there for his black family, for the black family, can be deemed a lie. She said it with her own mouth now. As if she can now make an end around and undo all the damage she did between black and the black man and the black woman. This, she promoted this guy on her show, brothers and sisters, as a spiritual healer. At the same time, he was trafficking people.
Children.
Folks, who's in charge of our image? So you mean to tell me when she made Color Purple, Elder Lawyer, who knows? She probably didn't know any of this stuff was going on. She probably didn't know, I'm a defender. She probably didn't know what was going on with Harvey Weinstein, booed up. Gayle King probably didn't know, who knows? But she definitely knew that she knew the power. She knew the power of propaganda when she made these statements, Elder Lawyer. And I'm going to play these statements once more for those who missed it. I'm going to play these statements again for you. Hold on. I got to do it. I got to make sure it's still. 1 second. Hold on. I got to make sure it's still. First, fair use.
If you're small-chested, you know how hard.
Hold on.
What I'm gonna do about Sophia?
My lip. All my life I had to fight. I had to fight my daddy. I had to fight my uncles. I had to fight my brothers. Girl, child ain't safe in the family men's. But I ain't never thought I had to fight in my own house. I loves Harpo.
You all heard that? I had to fight my father. I had to fight my uncle. I have to fight my brothers. And I never thought that I had to fight in my own house in a time period that black men and black women were on code with each other. We were together during the time period that they are typecasting for the color purple. And then to come to find out, when you do the white papers, there was an agenda behind with Allison Walker, who created this, cultivating black lesbian shamelessness, using this to unite black women together by using their own black man as a sacrificial lamb. Folks, this is white papers. This is the universities talking about this. The power of color purple. Using the naivety and the purity of our women, programming them to believe that we're the enemy, when we're the only people who've been behind our sisters. No one cares about our sisters. What are we going to do to fight against these stereotypes, folks? Can we trust them anymore, the lawyer? You think we can trust them? You think we can trust other people? You think we can trust our image in the hands of these people?
No, sir.
Maybe they can tell us what's right for family, what's right for our people, what's right for the children of Israel. Oprah spiritual healer John of God received 99 years sentence for trafficking children.
Said over 600 women and young girls.
Over 600 women, Elder Lawyer, you said. And what?
And young girls.
And young girls. John the God. And she promoted him at the same time on her show, telling people that there's other ways to get to God outside of Christ. He couldn't possibly be the only way. I think I know who Oprah's God is. I bet you she's not going to make a movie highlighting any of their people and denigrating them and saying negative, casting negative aspersions against these people. Sisters, don't buy into the stereotype no more. It's time to come home. It's time to come home. HistoryTimes.org, getting the academy. We're coming right back with the phone calls. 515-605-9327. Let's talk about it. Not only the fact of who's controlling our image, what are we willing to do? What are we going to do to take it back is the question. What are we going to do to take our image back? I'll be right back with the phone calls. 1 second. 515-605-9327. Join the Hebrew Bible Academy. We're going into week 5. Shalom. Hold tight.
The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew Bible Academy. You're invited.
Okay. 515-605-9327. Okay, let's talk about this. How do we take back our image? All right, let's see who we have in the house here. Let's call in here. I'll call you right back, Elder Lawyer.
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please enter your... Back into a live show. We are reconnecting you now. Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
Okay, we're live on Blog Talk Radio. As you can see, there's some people out there playing with our image. Now, we don't have the right to do the same. We cannot take someone's history and shape it according to any level of propaganda that would deem them or view them in a negative light. And now we should stand up to make sure that we'll fight with every inch of us to preserve the righteous image the Most High intended for God's people. We will no longer hold on to the negative that the evildoers, our enemies, have promoted against us ever again. And this is why we wholesale, that's right, reject We reject outright the remix or remake of Color Purple. Outright. I don't care if the cast are black who's doing it. Who cares? We should run them out of business. It has given us a bad name and we're done with it. We were done with that ridiculous woman king. Anything that portrays us out of image, we're finished with. Bring back honor. And there's no honor without any group promoting and respecting their men first. 667 area code.
Shalom, Elder. This is Danita from BMV.
How are you doing, Danita? The floor is yours.
Hey, great topic tonight. I think one thing, jumping right in, we could start doing, like you said, instead of promoting these different, start promoting things that's righteous and that's showing a good image of a black man and a black woman being second. And as far as, like you said, with the films, we need to stop going to see these films, put them out of business. And as far as the TV shows and all that, half of us don't even watch TV no more anyway. So we just should support each other. And those of us that showing this image of a black man, in our family, promote that first. And then second, if we're dealing with anything, as Elder Lawyer said, in each community, we all have our issues. We all have our problems. But we're the only one being painted as negative and a bad image for the world to see. So we have to start promoting our men in a better light and our women in a better light, being more modest, being more discreet when it comes to our issues and our problems, and just falling in line like we're supposed to, and like the scriptures say. So we start there, we'll get better as a people. And when we have our falling outs, be discreet. Don't be in the open. Don't, plaster our mate all over the place. Be discreet about it. And I yield with that.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, sister. I really appreciate that, Danita. Bless you and your family, okay? Bless you. One thing she just highlighted that I didn't touch in. Elder, did I bring you back, lawyer? You're back, lawyer? I know you're there. Anyway, the Bible says, with a woman's discretion, she fattened her husband's bones. Yeah, there's issues in every household. But what keeps the integrity of the family together is a woman's discretion. Right? So the whole thing is, I'm glad she pointed that out because I didn't even think of that discretion piece. How the things that, that we're not so proud of, that we keep amongst ourselves, and we work those things out amongst ourselves and show the world our image, who we are as a people outside of what? Our shortcomings. Discretion is important. Because you never can take back that angry moment where you get before everyone and just blast out your personal business all over the world. You can never take that back. And guess what? Next week, you can have an entirely different change of mind, but you can't take that back. Discretion is important. Good point, sister. 330 area code. If you're going to call in because everything cuts off in about 30 minutes. 515-605-9327. Great point. 330 area code.
Shalom, Elder. This is Zayakla from the Cleveland Body. How are you?
I'm blessed by the best. His name is Ahaya. How are you, sister?
Doing well. All praises. I'm glad to hear. I think you had said something that really hurt my since I heard it, my ears went ooh, because you had asked the question, who can we trust with our image? And it, as time has gone on, I've noticed that it's really hard to trust certain people with our image as years have gone on, and we've been ingrained in, like you said, the color purple, making perverting like our sister-to-sister relationships, I remember something which you was talking about because I recently was like, wow, I didn't realize how deep that really went. And I've also seen that image get tainted with certain BLM events and how to fix it. I think it does go back to what the Most High originally had for us, which was to be that having that strong man and that virtuous woman. And that's been like my biggest goal is to return back to that, because I spent a long time like, oh, is something in the world that's going to be better, or is it really what the Most High has to offer? And it's taken me a very long time to really get into my mind that what the Most High has to offer, that image that He had originally cultivated for us before the world came in and started tainting it, is really what I strive for and really what I want to portray. I don't want to do what it is that the world has to offer, because where is that going to lead you at the end of the day? I don't know if that made any sense.
Oh, you made a lot of sense, sister. Thank you. Bless you. And guess what? Who's responsible for our image? We are. So with each individual, we make sure that we're holding ground with what the Most High intended for us. It's our responsibility to make sure that the image that the Most High intended in us continue before the world. Even though, we're up against much resistance, the first thing we have to do is highlight where the negative is and draw a line. Okay? Because even with BLM, even that hashtag in particular, it's deceptive. It's deceiving in of itself. Black Lives Matter. But then you have what? It's being ran by a bunch of what? Black women who have ideologies of Marxism. Everything anti-family, anti-black, anti-men, it's being ran by. So the whole thing is we have to draw a line and say, listen, no longer will we have these others represent us, even if they have the same color. They're being utilized to destroy us from the inside. So anything political, we have to separate from and say, well, nah, we're not listening. Anything with women running it, I don't care what, a black woman, nah, you're not running us. You're not running our community. You're not running nothing. We resist this wholesale, and our sisters need to do so first. They need to resist the notion of having all the weight put on them and them bragging about being independent. But yet when the cameras are off and they're no longer around other people, they're lonely and crying and dealing with the pressures of what the world have put on them. No other women sought to be independent from their own man. And sisters, it sounds good, but at the end of the day, this is their plan. To destroy us. So now listen, guess what? A man wants a woman who wants to be needed. A man don't want a woman who feel that she don't need him. We need to get rid of that whole thing. That whole thing was to keep us at odds with one another. We need to get rid of it and say, well, listen, I submit to the image of God. I submit to the Almighty, and I'm willing to play my role according to God. I don't care what my friends say. I don't care what other people say, because guess what? You understand? I'm sitting here alone with no help me to no one to help me, and I'm faking my image before the world as if I have it going on. It's time to humble ourselves. Thank you, sister. 513 area code, and we have the sister from the UK. 513 area code. Shalom.
Shalom, elder.
The floor is yours.
Okay, this is Sister LaFatia, and I'm from the Cincinnati body.
Hi.
The Ohio body, and this is a little off topic, but have you ever heard of primary water?
What, primary water?
Yes, sir.
No. Would you like to tell me about primary water?
Yes, sir. I'm nervous. I'm sorry.
No, take your time.
But okay. So we've been made to believe drinkable water only comes from aqueducts and rainwater, and snow melts in order to obtain water. But water is constantly being renewed under the Earth's crust, and this is not like your average well that collects from the spring.
It's just I hate to do this because it's off topic. I need you to go directly to where we can get this water so that we can get back on topic.
Okay. So I'll get to it then. So I already emailed you at gathering1 at AOL, and in the subject,
it's gathering
line,
as one. Gathering as one at AOL.com.
Gathering as one at AOL.com.
Yeah.
I emailed you all the contact information. Just to get to the point, this water is constantly being made with oxygen and hydrogen in the crust of the earth. And it's a nonprofit organization, and it's called the Lawrence Anthony Earth Organization. And
Okay,
technology locators.
Hold up, sister.
Okay.
Are you advertising for primary water right now?
No, I want the church to know about the primary water.
Okay, all right.
So that if we obtain,
all right, so let's do this.
Obtain,
our health thing is Friday, sister. I really need us. This is a serious topic of our image being controlled. All right, keep in mind, if we allow them to continually destroy our image, demonization leads to destruction, then that means there'll be no one here to drink the primary water. So do me a favor and let's stay with the topic, all right? All right, thank you.
Okay.
All right, bless you.
Yes, Elder, and with that, I was going to say, I think it's kind of like when we were in the wilderness, when the Most High had to cut a lot of us off, I think, and he only allowed the children to come in. I think it's going to be like that. It's just a remnant is going to hearken unto that. Like, everybody's so caught up on the internet and these movies, and we got to just start with the children at home, take away the tablets, let them watch truth things, truth movies and music and things like that, and start with them.
Well, thank you, sister. I think you took up the majority of your time with the primary water. All right.
Okay. I'm sorry.
So don't worry about it. Next time, stay on topic. Thank you. Bless you. All right. Let's go to the sister in the UK. Actually, Shalom. How are you, sister?
Shalom.
How are you?
I'm blessed by the best, Denny's Nick.
All right. Talk to me.
How are you?
I'm blessed by...
Mel, the lawyer. Cool. Very good.
Shalom. I'm sorry, sister. I was on mute.
Okay. About the family. I mean, the image, rather. I'm not exactly sure how we take it back, apart from we do have to walk in the way in which we're made, in our paths, as you said, in our roles, etc. When I was growing up, my parents instilled in us, because I've got 4 brothers. When I was growing up, my mom instilled in my brothers in particular not to put their hands on women, because they have 2 women in their family, a mother and a sister. And she's sure that they would not like me or her to be abused by some man or whatever. And so I grew up in a household, as I said, with mostly men, and not one of my brothers or my father put their hands on me in, in a negative way. If I did something wrong, obviously my dad would discipline us, or my mom. That's the way it's supposed to be. I was so naive. I said this before in my other call, but it's true. I was so naive. When I moved from the area that we were in Hackney, Upper Clapton it's called, to Stoke Newington, I had no idea that there was such a thing as single parents. Seriously, no idea. I saw this for the first time at the age of 13, and it was a real culture shock to me, because I thought everybody had two parents in their homes, because that's what I grew up with all that time.
Yeah.
So, and I also did not know that there was a possibility that there could be more than one father for these children in the families. That was a serious shock.
Yeah.
I thought that was impossible. I
Yeah.
really did.
Yeah, it was a lot. It's a lot different.
So,
I think you're telling your age, right? 'Cause it's a lot different, when we were growing up, though.
Yeah.
But go on. I'm listening.
yes. So we really have to walk in a dignified way. We have to make sure that we, as was instilled in me and my brothers, and which we instill in our children, my brothers do, not to veer off that path, get into mischief, because there are gangs, there is drug dealing, etc., 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 in the area that we grew up in. So they have to be a very strong role model to their children, so they see how to grow up and what to do as men and women, and not, be all out there. Like you see now on Facebook, for instance, those women half naked.
Yeah.
It's just there in front of you on your feed. You don't know these people, and it just pops up. That's a serious shock. And then you got to block them and say, I don't want this thing on my feed in Facebook, even though, which is even worse, I do not use Facebook. I don't. I've stopped using Facebook 6 years ago.
Well, there's
because of how it is.
One other thing that goes with image. Image is also avatar. So what they've done with that same programming that I've talked about, where women put themselves in the place of other women when it comes to programming, they found this out through propaganda. The majority of the propagandized progressive movement of the system comes through them changing the women from one generation to the next to accept something the generation prior would not accept. It started with the cigarette things, where they called the cigarettes the torch of freedom, and had some white woman march in a parade in New York, and then women began to smoke cigarettes when that was primarily a male habit. On and on and on, even when it comes to the workplace. So from one generation to the next, they really target on changing the women, because women are the holders of culture and tradition. So men normally just stays the same to some degree, but now women have taken on an avatar now, an image, to keep up with the images that are online. So this is how Satan pushes a culture of control by really focusing on changing one side more than the other. Men are stubborn. Men are simple. Men usually want what they want, and men haven't changed that much since the time when men were made. The majority of the progression of changing in society is getting the women to accept something that women before them wouldn't accept. And there's white papers on that too, also. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, sister.
Right.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Shalom. Great perspective. And she was talking about, when she was coming up, how the way things are easily accepted today as far as family, would not have been accepted in a time when we were coming up. But here we are. Let's go down the line. 720 area code. Great point.
Shalom, elders. And the water to everybody behind the scenes as well.
Thank you.
All praises to the Most High.
Bless you.
So, I don't think the image is going to ever change, only through the body. That's the only way I see the image changing. I think you brought out a valid point, like even back in the days with, the people who, wasn't of popularity in the sense of like gang members or drug dealers or whatnot. There was a sense of respect that somebody within the community showed that. And, me, I've never been a gang member. I've never been one like that, of that walk of life. But yet I was still a man. I was respected and stuff like that. And that's a small percentage of black males in America. Most of them grow up with the sense of a gang violence or, just that street culture, and that's what they want to do.
Yeah.
So that's emulated everywhere. But it's so sad when even dealing with the social media and the television, when the success and the money is shown to our culture, there's no change. So with that being said, I don't think that image will ever change unless it's through the body. Because once you even become successful, when you can't show nothing outside of the degradation or, the ratchetness or just the filth, and you don't want to represent your people in a different walk of life, it makes no sense at all. It's like, what are you getting all this money for if you don't even plan on changing, if you don't ever plan on moving out of the hood? Like, if you're not going to bring your people together for any reason or any cause. So with that being said, I only see it changing through the body and through the Most High. So that's the only way I see our image ever changing.
See,
so
but here's a question. I don't believe, listen, you have to realize this, and I'm not talking about the overall perception per se, right? There's an element of a subculture within any race or community of people. So I'm not looking for the subculture of our community to change. But why is that being promoted above the persons like you were, who didn't deal with the gang violence? Why there's no Spielberg or others coming to find the ilk of you, or those who are like you, who are high in number, that the world will never know exists? And that's the point. There'll be subcultures amongst all races of people. But the whole thing is, what can we do to push back at them promoting our image? And these people have no right to. These people have no right to. Because there's some negative. That you would think that all the negative lies within the black community, the way they're portraying it. But I can go amongst the Asian community. I can go amongst the Arabs, like Elder Lawyer. Let me tell you, Arabs are looked at as sheiks and imams if they get off the plane here in America, when they could have been throwing out goat urine at home. Okay, they probably was emptying goat urine, but seeing how they operate over there lets us know it's how America seems to promote the image of these other people in a good light. Okay, they can, like an Arab can get right off the plane right now and he'll be respected as an imam. And he probably a guy, he had one pair of sandals for the whole year, and come over here, and he'll come over here and become an imam over a mosque. So we're talking about image right now. And so the whole thing is, how can we stop them from portraying us in a negative light? Because they're going to always be a subculture. Like for instance, I'm not going to go to Asia, to the ghetto of Asia, and say, okay, let me put a camera here and promote all Chinese as this, as the thieves, as the robbers, as the thugs within China. Do they exist? Absolutely. Will they allow me to promote that around the world? Absolutely not. And that's my point. But go on.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you completely on it. But until we completely blacklist them and blackball them from their industry, until we're no longer $1 trillion people of consumers, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I believe they're just as conscious as us in the sense of certain things that they know in the sense of the end game and the end times.
Yeah.
And for them to just completely show that, I feel they will always do that.
Okay.
Because they know where we're at right now in this world society.
Oh yeah. I understand. The devil's going to do what the devil's going to do. But it's going to stop. It's not going to stop me from pointing it out. That's what I want to say, right?
I'm 100%.
Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Right? Yeah. Let me tell you, our people, Shalom. Our people are shaped in iniquity. We come out with a dysfunctional view of what the world is, and no one is trying to help us otherwise. And some of our people are just sleepwalking, just trying to find their way in life. and which gives the other people on the outside of our community an advantage. So the whole thing is, I'm not going to excuse what our people are going through, but we've been pressed down too long. It's time for us to say, you know what? Let's get in front and start attacking these people through the media or whatever way, with whatever, I would say resources of social media the Most High have given us with a voice to actually stomp down against it. Let's do this not just to protect our people, but to give our people space to find themselves, even if they are in a dark moment. Before we get a chance to actually find our way, they have a camera in this transition while we're walking in darkness and portraying to the whole world that image. So what we're saying is, nah, turn your cameras off. Don't portray us this way. Give our people a chance to transform. Give us a chance to repent. You understand? So we're going to stand in the gap and say, every time they looking to do it, that's right, because they had the bullhorn. They had the media for years, one-sided, coming against us without black men knowing that we were between the crosshairs. But guess what? We have the bullhorn now. We have the microphone now. They gave it to the Saleh Jesse Raphaels, the Oprahs, and all these others, the Jerry Springers, while we sat back, idle, getting decimated, getting our image decimated by those who hate us. No more. We're going to stand in the gap, not to protect our people and all that and say that this doesn't exist. It's to give our people a chance to breathe without you putting a camera on the dysfunctions our people have been born under. 347, like you do for your people. Like you have always done for your people. 347, area code.
Shalom, Elder.
Shalom, how are you?
I'm doing good. My name's Crystal. I'm calling from the DMV area.
How are you?
I just wanted to leave a comment. I totally agree with your entire lesson tonight. I think it's very important for women, especially, to get in line with the Most High, because it's only going to be a select few men that are going to be able to guide us and correct us in the right way. And it's important for us to get in line and just be able to become good mothers again and focus on the children, since that's where they're aiming at. And since we have to be the protectors of children, we have to watch what we say and watch how we dress and watch what we watch, because they're looking right at us every single day. And, if we're not right with the Most High, it's going to be hard for them to get right with the Most High. And that's what we've been going through as a community.
Well, sister, it's time for sisters. How old are you?
I'm 30.
30. It's time for us to change our language, our young ladies. It's time to be good mothers or better mothers. It's time for us to be good wives. And a helpmeet for my husband, for our children. See, that's how the language have to begin to change amongst sisters. It can't be straight from we have to be mothers and then a male is actually just deleted from the equation. It have to be the man first. I have to be a good wife to my husband as a helpmeet for our children. We have to start framing it that way, with the man in front as the key, the key component in all of this. And a lot of women don't even understand when we even explaining things that we're actually excluding the men in our conversation. So that's where it has to switch at. You have to say we have to become better wives for our husbands so that we can be, a nuclear family for our children. It got to be your husband first, then speak about your children. That's the divine order, the image of God that was intended from the beginning. What say you?
I'll praise.
Right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So that's how our conversation begins to change. Because you don't even know, even subconsciously, you didn't even think of it that way. But that's how Women were programmed.
No, at all.
Subconsciously, you didn't even think about it, but we're programmed to go straight from I'm a woman and I'm a mother of children. The man is nowhere. So, yeah, it's subconscious, not your fault. Yeah. Yeah, it's not even your fault. It's not your fault, sister, but I'm just letting you know that we have to change the verbiage. We have to be better. We have to be better wives so that we can become a nuclear family for our children. Right? Thank you, sister.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Bless you. 850 area code.
Close the door. Shalom.
Shalom. Did they close the door?
Let me make sure she did.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I didn't want you to be in the background.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. The floor is yours. We taking back our image. Taking back our image. Good. Floor is yours.
Yes, sir. This is Phaedra from the Atlanta side. And I just wanted to say first, I also agree wholeheartedly with this lesson. There was the dysfunction and the degeneracy that Elder Lawyer asks. If the scripture quoted only exists amongst people of color, because that's how it's portrayed, made me think for a moment. And I found it quite interesting that even when they show the dysfunction and the degeneracy that is spoken of within Scripture amongst themselves, it is revered as noble. Even the monster movies are depicted from a human perspective, a struggle and an effort to care for their wives and their children. And when they happen to get out of prison, they struggle a bit, but end up as successful business owners. Or they are portrayed as spiritual as they go to the confessional booth to confess the murder that they just committed while planning to commit another one as soon as they walk out the church. But when you take an honest look back at the entertainment industry with respect to our images in movies and TV, every movie just about is either a headstrong, independent female, an abused woman, an abusive man, a gender-confused situation, illiteracy, crime-motivated drug dealers and murderers who habitually emulate revolving door imprisonment. So, how can we correct it? Like the brother said before, by submitting ourselves under the biblical code given to us within the law, to get into our perspective or respective God-given positions, establishing what we are to do both as men and women of the Most High, by having and establishing a true relationship with the Most High and working out
90 seconds
as instructed to us in Scripture. And that both men and women of the Most High, teaching our children the weight of the truth that we are created in the image of Ahia. And any character that does not represent the Most High, Ahia, Wawawak Kadash, or Yeshaya is not us. And we need to separate ourselves from that cliche that, oh, this is just me, because it's not just us.
60 seconds.
Have to be able to stand up against the portrayal of all unrighteousness and stop being passive aggressive or afraid that we're going to offend if we speak the truth. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, sister. Great points. Great points. See, and how do we start? How do we begin to take back our image? By us identifying it and then walking in the image of God. I want to show these sisters something real quick, because it's really upon the women to step into the image, because they are the holders of what? Tradition and culture. Okay, a society can only, well, a people can only
10 seconds.
A people can only grow, a nation can only grow as moral, as really, when you look at it, they can only grow positively or sustain as much as their women are moral. And I want to show y'all something, because I'm going to show y'all the power of image, brothers and sisters. I'm going to show y'all the power of image real quick. Sisters, I need y'all to look at this. How the other nations' women have duped our sisters. I want y'all to see something. They made you believe that their fight was your fight. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to show y'all something real quick. They made you believe their fight was your fight, when really they're fighting for their man and for the sustainability of their people. I want to show y'all something, the power of image, real quick. Real quick. Amazon, powerful woman. See? Look at the white woman. Even as an Amazon, she's portrayed dainty and feminine. Even the Amazon woman is portrayed feminine. Okay? I need y'all to see this. They don't have Ellen DeGeneres representing even their Amazon women. Now, the image of their women who are warriors is still feminine. Wonder Woman. Our sisters, though, insecure. I need y'all to check that out. And then our women who are Amazonian or warriors are masculine. See, sisters, I'm going to tell you, this image is everything, folks. Because when men walk down the street, are they looking for a helpmeet? They're not looking for a woman who can beat them in the octagon. And this is the power of imagery. The same people are doing this, folks. The dainty women. Now, this is a woman that most men would deem feminine. But it's from the series Insecure. Still, beauty highlighted with a negative. Sisters, y'all have to stop allowing them to do this to you. Because this is how they want to portray you. Weak, insecure, trauma-based. While they continue as Wonder Woman. (206) area code. Someone says, why am I continually talking about the woman? Let's talk about the man. We celebrate the black man as champion. Okay? And I'm going to show you. And sisters, I need y'all to hear this. We celebrate the black man as champion. Even in Wakanda, when Black Panther first came out. You think the nations didn't see how the whole world cleaved to what's natural? A black man in power? And then the black man dies and they switch the whole narrative. We celebrate the black man as champion. One thing you'll never find a black man doing, at any black men, at any time, would you see black men anywhere celebrating this as a black man? So let's talk about the men. See, one thing about the black man have stayed constant. There's no wavering. We have always stated and been behind black men as champions and have wholesale resisted any other portrayal of our image outside of a champion. Now, and guess what? We were never silent with it either. You've never heard some black men say, well, listen, you know what I mean? We have people from the other persuasion and the letter people as friends. We never operated like that. We never compromised our position. Throughout time immemorial, we stuck with what a man was. Again, we talk about the women because the women were focused on in our community. They were focused on and was incentivized to turn against us. Okay? We have to focus on that aspect. Okay? It was incentivized because women holds the culture and tradition. And I know some people say, well, the men allow them to, men step up. Well, listen, if a man is trying to say you can't do this or do that, and a woman is saying I'm not going to listen, then what? Then what? If a woman say, I don't want to hear what you have to say, how can that be the man's fault? So no, they pressed upon one side. Okay? Let me show you again. Let me show you again. They pressed upon one side. Let me show you. Let me show y'all something. Sister, I'm going to ask you. Oprah's decision with Harvey Weinstein to hang amongst the elites of Harvey Weinstein. Is that the black man's fault? What power do the black man have to stop Oprah from fraternizing with those of this ilk? Can a black man tell Oprah what to do? Color Purple was directed by Steven Spielberg. Can the black man stop Oprah from portraying the black man in a negative light? Can the black man stand up and say, Oprah, you shouldn't do this? When have the black man gained any power in America to tell the black woman what to do and be heard? When have that ever happened? So it's about what? It's fighting spiritually against what have been incentivized to fight against us. We champion the black champion. We're behind the black champion. And by doing so, if you get behind the black champion, then you'll have a provider and a protector. We all win. We all win. You get behind the black man. Submit as the Most High says. And we both win. The black man and the black woman. Okay? So when a man comes with the Bible and says, men, you can no longer do this. Listen, let me show y'all. When a black man stands up with the Bible and says, brothers, you can no longer do this. Come back to God, repent. That's a black man standing in his position with God to help his brother. When a black man stands and tell a woman, we don't want you as a woman king. That's disrespectful. We are the king. Once she applies that knowledge and allow a man to be a king, we all win. Okay? So you want to say, y'all keep saying y'all want men to stand up. But when men begin to stand up, which is talk about what's wrong with our people according to God, it turns into, why you're talking about us. Circular arguments that lead to no solution at all. So we're done with that. This is how black men stand up. We point to the ills that are destroying our people. So do you want us to stand up or not? Because any women we're talking about, if they are the destructive part of our community, why would you care that they're being talked about? It's not you, is it? It's not you. If I was talking to a brother that was on crack right now and on drugs, you wouldn't say anything. And if the brother got on and say, well, why he talking about people on crack? They going through stuff. Only a person who was on the drug would actually write in the comment, why you keep talking about crack. Next call, 206 area code. So what you want? Do you want the men to stand up? Well, if men are going to stand up with the Bible, they're going to be talking about what's going on in the community, including the destructive behavior that's within women who have gone unchecked for generations. That's part of men standing up. 206 area code. Let's go.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud. Yes, okay. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, elder. Well, we have constantly been taught that the man is the head, the woman is the neck. Now, everybody know we have our issues, but do we have enough men on the forefront to take their proper position? Now, as for women, you're going to have the bad acting women. You're going to have bad acting men. But do we have enough black men that can choose enough black women to try to get things balanced? So, like I said, women is on the reflection.
Hold up, sister. Let's back this up. Yeah, we do have enough black men, sister. You know what their names are? You want to hear it?
Yes.
Isaiah, Jeremiah, Nehemiah, Obadiah, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Joshua. If they didn't hear the prophet, sister, there is enough men. But the prophets are being rejected. There is enough men. At the end of I'm saying, listen to me. I'm breaking it down to you. I'm breaking it down. If you're saying, is there enough men individually that are out there for every woman who needs direction? That'll never happen. That have never happened in society ever. That have never happened. Let me tell you, there's not enough. Don't you know that only 50% of even white people are getting married now? And that number is declining. So what I'm saying is, I'm not going into what I would call a discussion that leads to nothing, because that will never happen amongst any civilization. When I talk about image, Image is wholesale across the board. It's general. So you have to understand every nation has a priesthood. Right? Listen to me clearly. Like when you go over the Middle East, there's a priesthood there. There's the imams who set what? The moral standard for the community. Period. And it's up to the men and women to step into it to play their role. Our women understand their role according to God, and the men, even if they're doing wrong, understand theirs. And these are individual choices where people are deciding not to follow God, sister. This has nothing to do with whether or not there's enough men to be right for women. The priesthood have been set.
The reason why I said that.
Okay,
the reason why I said that.
I'm gonna let you speak, but I'm setting. See, I'm only speaking to what leads to solution. What you're asking for will never exist, and that will give an excuse to allow what's happening to continue. Like, for instance, sister, you're listening to me right now, right? Yes?
Yes.
I'm not your husband, but I'm bringing forth knowledge that you can apply as a woman. So all in all, women do have the help out there that they need if they're willing to apply what's being taught. And I'm talking about all the prophets had to go through that. All the teachers had to go through that, throughout that. And you always had people who would find reasons not to hear what the men were talking about. Who are the prophets? But go on.
Well, what I was saying, you just said a few minutes ago that you're going to always have, well, you're not going to never have enough men, and you're going to always have some women that's not going to be in formation to a certain degree. If you know that, why are you constantly having these conversations if you already know that certain women, no matter what, certain men is just not going to be correct. It is what it is, but I constantly keep on seeing you always talking about the women. And I don't think you should, because women is only the reflection of the men that has been in their lives or the lack of. That's
okay,
all.
hold
When you see women act a certain type of way.
Hold up, sister.
And this is true, because see, I have a dad, and my mom and dad is still
Sister, do
married.
you hear me speaking? You can't overtalk while I'm speaking, because you're making statements, assertions that need to be contended with. Okay? The whole thing is, sister, I need you to give an example of other nations where they're talking about something, where their men of authority is bringing something forth, where the women of that group feel they can come and challenge how the men are bringing forth correction. Show me any other group where men of authority is pointing out what's going on amongst their group, where the women can come in and say, you can't do it that way. Can you show me an example of that?
Well, for the first thing, Elder, the reason why I can't, because black people don't have the luxury to be looking at somebody else's backyard, and we have all this junk over here in our.
Sister, so here it is. What we're going to do is we're going to go from one point to the next. I'm just giving you an example. That, sister, you have to realize there is no right way. When people don't want to listen. Do you have a Bible with you?
Not at the moment.
Okay, well, hold tight. I'm going to read a scripture for you, okay?
Okay.
All right. Two scriptures, as a matter of fact, if you may. Can you work with me?
Yeah.
All right. Because, sister, let me tell you, believe me, if you know me and if you know who my whole life and the people who have been around me, the last thing I'm on earth is anti-woman. So I need you to hear this real quick. Moreover, this is Ezekiel, sister. Moreover, he said, Son of man, eat thou which thou findest. Eat this roll, and go speak unto the house of Israel. So I opened my mouth, and he caused me to eat the roll. And he said unto me, Son of man, cause thy belly to eat, and fill thy bowels with this roll. It's the word that I give thee. Then did I eat it, and it was in my mouth as honey for sweetness. And he said unto me, Son of man, go get thee unto the house of Israel, and speak with my words unto them. For there are not sent to a people of a strange speech and of a hard language, but to the house of Israel. Not to many of people of a strange speech and of a hard language, whose words cannot understand. Surely had I sent thee to them, they would have hearkened unto me. What is he saying to Ezekiel right here? If I would have sent you to say what you saying to your people, they would have came to me by now. Listen clearly. But the house of Israel, they're not going to listen. They will not hearken unto thee. For they will not hearken unto me. For all the house of Israel are impudent and hard-hearted. Sister, why did I bring out this scripture? You saying, why do I bring out anything concerning women? Or it seemed like I'm talking about women. Sister, I just had a whole broadcast to show you one woman was used by the enemy to propagandize and to destroy a whole generation of not just black women through propaganda, but black men. So in order for me to help correct that with the word, we have to show those who was what? Influenced by that negative propaganda. And if it falls on the women, then so be it. The women now have a choice not to be what's actually getting talked about as negative. Do you understand that?
I understand that perfectly.
Okay.
But I'm going to always be a true believer that a person has the right to say yes or no about their image.
Well, listen, sister, but I'm with you, though. But I'm just showing you from a biblical perspective. The enemy sought to deal with the weaker vessel to destroy us inwardly and have it where there's infighting. So if one side is being pressed upon to fight against the other side, I'll do both sides a disservice if I don't concentrate on the side that have been incentivized to destroy us inwardly. All right. So at the end of it, now let me ask you this. Let me ask you this question. Tell me what you think about this. Just your opinion. Give me your opinion on this. Right? I just want your opinion, all right?
Okay.
Just your opinion. Right? Just your opinion. How old are you, sister, if you don't mind me asking?
Okay. How old are you, Elder?
Oh, you don't want to tell me age? It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Because I wanted to see what time period you're in. Just say, sister, listen.
Well, because I know that you always ask, but you never tell how old you are.
I can tell you my age, but I'm asking you. If you don't want to, listen, if you don't want to,
I know you are.
Listen, if you don't want to, just say, I want to keep that discreet. It's fine. Okay?
Well, Elder, I'm asking you also.
Let's get back on point, all right? Let's get back on point, all right? Bible. Why does the Bible say this, sister? 1 Corinthians 14:34. You ready?
Yeah.
Right. Let your women keep silence in the church, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law. When you hear this scripture right here, does that feel negative or positive to you?
It feels positive.
Okay, now let's talk. All right, that's a positive scripture, right? Now, why is that scripture positive, sister? According to your understanding, according to what you believe. Why is that positive that Paul is telling women to keep silence in the church? How was that silence? How was that positive to you?
The reason why I said it's positive because the man actually supposed to be the leader.
Okay.
And because everybody have a proper role to play,
Good.
and men's supposed to be the leaders, and the women supposed to follow the man, the righteous man.
Okay, so let's talk about this, because you will have women who will hear this scripture and say, "That's wrong. You shouldn't be talking about women. Why should women be quiet? Why are you talking about this? Why are you trying to shut women up? Are you trying to control women?" So what I'm showing you, sister, it's through perception. Okay? The whole deal is, when you read these scriptures, all through the Bible, sister, the prophets and teachers were correcting the women. So that the good women can be separated from the Jezebels. So if you protect, if we're bringing forth knowledge that are actually delineating and putting a line between good women like you and women who make you look bad, why should you care?
Because that's the way the universe is set up. The same type of people we have here today is the same type of people we had when Ohio was walking the earth. So it's nothing new. But the thing of it is, when I be watching you, because I've been
Sister, no,
baptized in church since 2017.
sister, you're going someplace else. You didn't answer the question. Let me ask you the question.
No, you want to know.
Sister, if you overtalk me, I'm going to mute you. So what you want to do is listen to my question and answer the question. I'm going to ask it again. Okay? All in the Bible, it corrects women so that you can know the difference between the women who are right, who will keep silence and obey men. And it also highlights and delineate between the good women and the Jezebels. And if no one said anything, the Jezebels would come in and make the good women look bad. So if it's just the Jezebels that are being highlighted, why does that? Why is that a problem for you? If only the Jezebels are getting highlighted. That's the question.
The reason why that is an issue to me, because a lot of women that have that character, it's an actual reflection of the men that has been in their life or the lack of.
Okay, stop that. So Jezebel that we read of in the Bible is because of the men.
I don't know why Jezebel in the Bible, but I'm speaking on women because, see, I'm in the social service field, and trust me, I know whole lot of backstories.
Sister, I don't want to, because this can be productive here. I don't want to fuse your personal experiences with what I'm dealing with in the word tonight. What I want to do is, because we're talking about women in the Bible right now, and that there was a responsibility, the men who stood up in the Bible made a line between the good women and the Jezebels. And there's no one could say the prophets that they couldn't do so. So the whole deal is, there's women that the Bible identify as a threat. And if no one talks about them, then guess what? It tarnishes your good image as a righteous, virtuous daughter of Zion. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for the call, and I think we will get somewhere with this. Bless you. All right. 214 area code.
Blessings over you, elder. Blessings.
And guess what? Before we go in there, I had to make that distinction, brothers and sisters. And why did I have to make that distinction? Because we've been given this trope for years with no pushback that women are stepping up because there's no men who would stand up. Okay? And that's not altogether true. That's not altogether true. Men have been standing up, even in the Christian church, and said women shouldn't be on the pulpit. They went and signed a 501c3 and got a board together with women and others on the board to vote out pastors in our community who wanted to keep it a male patriarchy so that women can stand in the pulpit in a position of men to teach God's word. Okay? I've seen this in the community. So there are satanic agendas that are moved through women to destroy our community. And you think a woman pastor, you can tell a woman pastor that she need to sit down, that she shouldn't be preaching? You can't blame that on a man that wasn't there. She wants the power. Why don't y'all just say it? Stop dancing around it and say, listen, we want the equal power as men. Just say it. So no. That's why I use biblical examples. That's why I use Jezebel as an example. You can't claim that she didn't have the men to listen to. The prophets were there, and guess what? She was working towards killing the prophets. And we couldn't say because she grew up in a dysfunctional family, her father wasn't there. We can't use that example. Jezebel was just a wicked woman who was against the prophets. Okay. And the Bible identifies that in Revelations 2, that we are not to allow that spirit to fester or continue. So understand, sister, what are you protecting when you say, well, don't say nothing about women, as if women are a monolith altogether? They're not a monolith. There's virtuous women and then there's Jezebels. 214 area code.
Blessings over you, Elder Lawyer and Elder Rashad. Thank you again. I had a whole nother question altogether until the wonderful woman was speaking, and I. Hold up. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, sister, I'm 54 years of age. That's how old I am. But go on. But go on, brother.
Yes, sir, big brother. Let me say this to be fair, and I think what she was trying to say is, can you have something to say about the men? Okay. And as you were talking, and you were on point, Elder. As you were talking, the Holy Spirit. I have my Bible open.
Okay, let me have your name, sir.
Yes, sir. Brother Messenger, but Lookman Calhoun.
Listen, brother. Listen, I'm not going to transfer this on a conversation for her. We're not going to do that.
Okay.
I don't want to do that. Whatever your original point was, let's have it, because at the end of the day, this is what we have to fight through in gaining righteous authority back. You understand? Because I'm sure she's going to look back at this. I made some examples and I said, where is it in any other community where men are trying to bring some type of order where the women can come in and question and say, you can't say that? And what I was putting out, sisters don't even know it, because this is how we've been trained. We were trained to go up against authority and believe it's okay. So guess what? If my topics every day was on that, if you're saying that you want men to gain authority and take back power and do what's right, then you can't question how it's done. You have to get behind it.
Absolutely.
Because it really comes down to good against evil. So sisters,
Absolutely.
it's not going to be a comfortable scenario with us identifying wrong in general. It comes with the territory. But sisters should just sit back, even if it's uncomfortable, and let men find their way into the authority you claim has been vacated by them. Okay?
Absolutely.
You can't argue with how it's happening. Men are finding their way back into authority, and you know what? And by doing so, you're not going to agree with all of the methods. Get behind the men, whether you agree with it or not. Get behind them. Go ahead, brother. What you had to say about it? Go ahead.
Yes. First and foremost, I'm still waiting on the Dallas body to get in contact with me. So after the question, I'll wait, and I just want to make sure that my number is given so he can get back with me because I'm just trying to find the Dallas body. But,
hold on.
Let me get to the question.
Hold on. Let me get your name again because I'm gonna make sure he get it.
Okay. They call me Messenger, but my
just give me your regular name. Give me your name.
Lookman, Lukman. Last name Calhoun, Calhoun.
Okay, someone will call you as soon as possible. All right, but go on. The floor is yours. I only got a few more calls to take.
Okay. Yes, sir. Real quick. You spoke highly on the 80s, on the color purple.
Yeah.
The exact same time when they pushed this movie out, right? Then I can recall me staying on the East Coast in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area where Ronald Reagan was saying no to drugs. These things were being pushed all at the exact same time.
Yeah.
From the 80s, pushing the narrative. And you said so much regarding to the images of how we were being portrayed, but what about the gangs of New York? What about certain things? And you mentioned on all these other groups that came overseas and filled those voids in. We wasn't doing any of those things. As a matter of fact, we were probably still slaves. Mm-hmm. The whole point of the matter here is all of these things that were being projected on us, it started from somewhere, and we copied it. We were the last ones to copy everything, even though we did it better than they did.
Yeah.
But the whole point of the matter now is how do we get these things off of us? Because I as we spoke before, I used to be a gang member. I mentioned that before.
Mm-hmm.
We used to look up to certain the mafia movies. We used to idolize some of this. Going out this way. Sometimes you will visualize it. If I'm going to die, I want to go out gun blazing. Stuff that you see on TV, and you look back at it and you say, that was stupid. I can't imagine myself going out with bullets all in my chest and just thinking, oh, he went out like a G. These are the things that was placed for us to say, I'm going to kill you, you're going to kill me. If I'm going to go out, I want to go out with a gun in the hand and a blunt in my mouth.
Okay.
This was stupid stuff
that
was projected from Hollywood. And you said it. And you're absolutely right. And so now it's going to be, it has been hard for us to cut against the grain that has been pushed on us for a while due to the 60s, the late, going into the 70s, when they already took the man out of the house. Then they give us free what?
Calhoun. Calhoun.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to let you finish, but I think if the sister's listening, I want this to be highlighted, right? She's asking, she asked, why don't you say anything about the men? Sisters, no, listen. I need sisters to hear this. There's nothing for a man to come before a public production like we have now and state everything they have done in their part of destroying the community. And I'm using you, Calhoun, as an example.
Go right ahead.
No, I'm listening to it. And I need sisters to really hear this. Men aren't ashamed to come forth and say, this was my destructive part of how we got here. So I don't really have to point out all these other things, because men are saying, I did this. I know I had a hand in it. I know my part in it. But then we have to understand what part of the community is silent, as if they had nothing to do with the destruction of our community. But yet we both know it takes two. And I think there's a spirit out there that don't want the negative from one side to be spoken. And I wanted to highlight that, sister, if you're listening to this. How many, we've had men come up over and over again and just put it out. This is what I wanted to go out with a gun in one hand and a blunt in the other. And then last week he called and said he want to become a part of the church. He want to change his life. This is how it's done. Okay? This is how it's done. He's not ashamed of that. And if I said brothers shouldn't be gangbanging, how many times I've said that? Brothers shouldn't be doing this, how many doing that? And you know what? You don't have no brothers calling in and saying, you know what? Why you keep talking about this? You shouldn't be talking about this. What about the women? So we're not dealing with that no more. If the shoe fits, wear it. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. And that's on every part, whether it be man or woman. It's a lot of times I'm teaching in the Bible and I'm reading precepts, and guess what? I'm teaching, and guess what? That word is cutting both ways. It ain't cutting to just the man or woman I'm speaking to. I'm looking at it, and guess what? That thing is cutting inward too. And it's saying, you know what? I have to be better. I have to do this. The word of God doesn't have a prejudice of male or female. I read the Bible, and sometimes I'm reading the scriptures, and I'm like, ooh, that hurts. Because you know what? It cuts me too. Go on, brother. You have the last word before I go to the last ones, the last phone calls.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As a preacher, and I want to say I stepped away from regular Christianity. Why? Now, I want the young ladies, the adult ladies, to listen that I had to walk away from pastors and regular church members that were still cutting against the grain and not doing the work of God. Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 1 and 3. That speaks about men leadership that wasn't doing the will of God, and I had to walk away from it. And so, I can openly testify my part, things that I grabbed a hold of, even walking in different, not just denominations, but even holding office in the Masonic order, in 4 left Masonic order, things that I've done, right? And not to say I did anything bad in the Masonic order, but okay, so what I do recognize, I'm willing to correct the ship. I'm willing to make what I thought was right, which was wrong, and turn it right, and go according to the Bible scripture, and follow lines, stay in line, stay focused on the commandments, do everything that we're supposed to do what? Bring back the leadership, because she did say, what about the men? It's not that men, but the Bible says in verse 3, Jeremiah 23,
hey brother,
the remnant.
I understand, brother, but I don't. But like I said, I didn't want you. I just wanted you to talk about our image. But let's leave her alone. I'm going to the next call. Okay, don't worry about it. And I got Azan. I gave Azan your number. He's gonna call you. Okay.
Okay.
My brother.
Okay.
All right.
Yes,
So
blessings over.
blessings.
All right. Bye-bye.
And you know what? This is what I would like to see also. I would like to see publicly, since their social media, not men. I would like to see, especially after what I brought forth today, sisters out there, whether you from a church or not, have your voices be heard concerning how we were tricked from the Oprahs, the Gayle Kings, and others, and how it influenced us negatively, women in general, against men. I seldom hear online or any place sisters standing up and saying, these are the negatives that we were taught from that generation, 80s and 90s, that have affected us even to this day and have affected and continue to affect our children. And I gave examples. And then it was founded out who had a battery in their back the whole time while they were crapping on black men, on Judah. Now that the Bible says in the end times knowledge shall increase. So with the internet, nothing can be hid now. And now we're seeing that this wasn't an independent, I would say, agenda strictly through the eyes of a powerful black woman. We're starting to see that she had a battery in her back, an agenda that have played out now, that have destroyed our communities. And I've yet to see sisters stand up wholesale and say, you know what? She tricked us. She tricked us. She made us believe that this is the model of success. And it wasn't at all. Money isn't the only indicator of success. She came with a lot of failures. And her ideology is a religious ideology that have destroyed our community. Through her influence with these batteries in her back, she destroyed the image of God, who's the black man and the black woman in our communities. Through her satanic ideology. So it's time for brothers to stand up, sisters to stand up and say, okay, let me look into her ideology, her religious beliefs, and let me look into her true intentions that were counterproductive for our people, the children of Israel, God's people, or Christian people, and admit the negative I took in through her propaganda. (720) area code.
Hey, pulled out my what's the name in Maysville. I pulled out my pepper spray in Maysville. I guess after
pulled out your pepper spray in Mayston. Oh yeah, it looks like we're coming to the end of this broadcast. 407 area code.
This is
407. I'm playing in the background.
This is 407-347-31.
407. How can I help you, my brother?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me? This is Charles. How you doing, Elder?
I'm doing well. The floor is yours. They're controlling our image. What are we going to do about it?
I think the world has been emboldened, and there's no shame. Back in the day, for instance, I have a 46-year-old son. And, of course, what I've learned in this is that we have a different image of what the world should be. The world has seemed to be tamed into of no shame. Whatever you do, whatever you want to do, you do it. they can tell a lie, and that lie, they'll stick with it, and it's just a shame where we are in this day and time. And I listen to you quite a bit, and I try my best to relate to how I tried to bring up my son. And I talked to my son. I said, "Son, why do you listen to this kind of music, the rap kind of music?" And he said, "Daddy, you listen to your music and back in the day, the blues." And I say, "Yeah." I say, "But today the music is raunchy. You're talking about killing and raping." And I say, "Where is that going?" So, yes, I understand now listening to my son. He said, "Daddy, we're just in a different culture." I say, "But this culture is going to destroy you." I say, "You need to get in a church, because church now has seemed to be now a social club." Actually, I've been part of the church. I'm a musician. I sing, and I saw pastors actually tell me, "Charles, look, that lady over there, that's my girlfriend." And I'm looking, I say, "What?" He say, "That's my girlfriend." I said, "But you're married." So it has been a culture that has been devastating. Women are our weaker, I think. When I say weaker, they make us weak. And I think
that has
like my
always
wife,
been.
she's strong because I'm strong. But why I was saying that is to say this. Women have to realize that the man is their head, and they have to stand with that man. My wife, she does. So, again, I'm just saying the culture has been changed. Television, tell-lie, vision has been so, I guess, ingrained in our heads that we don't know which way is up.
Yeah.
People can tell a lie, and they'll tell a lie until people believe it. So I just wanted to make those points. So I appreciate you. I listen to you daily. Like I told you, of course, you probably heard me. I'm the one that sing, me and my wife, and I got some videos, and I did send them out. But I just want you to know that I just hold on to the truth. My wife and I, we pray daily. We're trying our best to just get stronger, and so we're going to eat the food that you give us.
Praise the Most
And
High.
we just want to say shalom, and keep doing what you're doing, and I'm looking at you now. Look at you.
Thank you. Bless you.
Keep it up.
Bless you.
Elder
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Words of wisdom from an elder. Bless you, sir. All right. 336 area code.
Shalom, Elder.
Shalom. Were you holding on for a while?
No, I wasn't planning on speaking, but
Your hand was up.
I just wanted. Initially, I wasn't planning on speaking, but
Okay.
when this conversation came out about women admitting, our faults and standing up for what's right and condemning what's wrong, I felt like I should speak on what you said.
Okay, go on.
So the first thing, just speaking on topic, the first thing that came to mind is how here in North Carolina we had a music fest, and it was beautiful. It was wonderful. At church, the image of the Most High family structure is very prevalent. When I was in the First Day Church, it was a lot of women, single women in the church, just sometimes even running the church. But, I think most of us who are trying to live righteously don't prefer the limelight. So it's not something that's going to be seen to the masses in general. Now, pertaining to women and how we fight against authority and that sort of thing, I think it stems to a point where a lot of us don't even recognize where it's coming from. I remember having a conversation with my mother when I was in the 6th grade. I was, 11, 12 years old.
Okay.
I didn't know what a feminist was, but a lot of what I was saying in that conversation was feminist talking points. So I think the problem is that we were indoctrinated before we knew what we were being indoctrinated with. So a lot of times when we feel our emotions or our flesh riling up, we can't pinpoint where it's coming from. And I think that's part of the problem. It's just that before we had defenses, before we knew better, this programming was instituted in our minds, a lot of us. I'm an 80s baby.
Okay.
So, you know, I remember telling my mom, like, my husband's going to cook for me. I thought I was going to have this illustrious career and all that kind of stuff. Like, where does that come from? My mom didn't have that mindset. She didn't teach that. So it came from somewhere outside of the home. And I don't even know where. You know what I mean?
Sister, let me tell you something that I dealt with in a corporate world. And it's deep in of itself. And I'm glad you talked about that, because sometimes it happens without conscience. I was in the corporate world. I'm not going to talk about the particular job. And there were sisters working in nice, these managerial positions. And there was a white woman that had a higher position. I guess she hired them. Right? And I'm working at the job. And there was a presentation that was set up where my overhead, I was in a different department, asked me to set up for the presentation. Right? So, I went and got, I got the snacks and all these other things and set up things. I was dealing, in a little managerial setup there. And I'm setting up for the presentation for the meeting. And I overhear a white guy in position talk to this white woman who hired these people, these women. Yeah, I see your pets. They're running around a little bit. And I'm like, yo, what? And I'm listening to this, right?
Oh, wow.
But they didn't see me. I was on the other side. There was a board here. And they was talking about the two young ladies who run behind, the white woman who was in authority. She just laughed. She didn't say anything. It was a white guy who said it. Right? So about a week later, I couldn't hold it. I go to the sisters, or one of the sisters, and say, "Sister, watch yourself a little bit." She says, "What you talking about?" I'm like, "You got some people who's deeming you as a pet to this woman that's over you." She said, "What you talking about?" Sister, don't you know? And this happened years ago. I'm talking about I was in my early 30s at this time. Sister, don't you know that these girls had me in HR for trying to warn them about how they were being perceived as pets by this white woman?
Oh, wow.
Listen, and that was me operating in the world. That was before YouTube. That was before the gathering of Christ Church. But I knew the truth. But at this point, I understood that there was something back then, something inherently wrong. I'm in the corporate world trying to protect my sisters from being berated from behind their backs.
Right.
So even back then, they thought that I was trying to get discord between her, people who are over her and them. And so when I hear sometimes when someone says, brothers don't protect sisters, how can you do it without the blowback? How can you be in position to try to help? And then it turns around where you're the one between the crosshairs, or you're the one being written up because you tried to protect, even in the corporate world. Now, I don't believe that everyone should have done that, but that's an example I can look back and say they've done a real good job on their dividing and indoctrinations.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to put that out there. So I'm glad you brought that up, because sometimes it's without thought. It's part of the programming. Sometimes we go through it and we just operate under our programming. But thank the Most High for this truth that's helping us break this. No matter, and guess what? Sometimes, no matter how, abrasive, that's the word I can use, it can get sometimes with us transforming out of our darkness. Even in the conversations I had with the sisters call in, I welcome and thank the sister for that phone call when she called in and stated, her defense when it came to how she felt, because it leads to conversations. These conversations lead to resolve where we'll begin to understand one another. Okay. Thank you, sister. All right. Well, Thawada, I think that concludes our broadcast. All right. That's 11 o'clock. That concludes our broadcast, 708. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get to your call. Call in Friday, and I'll make sure on Patreon we'll get you in. And with that, that concludes our broadcast for this evening. With this, I hope the Most High, through the Spirit of the Most High, I pray that He worked to bring us together under one fold, where it's not about pointing fingers or what about isms and one side waiting for the other to change. I just hope that we all look inward and see our part within the fix, with us coming back to the Most High, protecting our image for the next generation going forward. And really, that's what it's all about. Good night, Elder Lawyer, and thank you for your assistance tonight.
Yes, sir. Shalom.
Good night. With that, what better song to play at the very end of this than Two Wrongs? Shalom.
Let's talk for a minute. How can we both be wrong? How can we both be right? And how can we call this love? Hurting each other, and all we do is fight. How can you walk away?
Good night.
When we're holding on by a thread,
Feeling alone.
this feeling alone sure feels strange. We might as well sleep in separate beds. We've given for far too long. We both alright. We've become two wrongs, baby. We've become too wrong. We started out lovers and friends, now just searching for reasons to end. Too stubborn,
Too stubborn.
don't understand. If this is love, I don't want it again. We've given up.
Two wrongs.
We are wrong. Oh, we become too wrong.
Good night. We are the children of Israel and will walk in the image of God. Have a good night.